Chapter 1441 Snow Lotus Essence. Pieces of ice fell to the ground. Cough, cough. Fang Yuan pressed on his chest as he coughed out blood clots from his heart and lungs. These blood clots had solidified into small pieces, letting out intense coldness. Fang Yuan's expression was unusual, his face looked purple, he had suffered a huge injury. The GU refinement had failed, the giant iceberg exploded, and Fang Yuan had to forcibly endure the backlash. Immortal GU man as before. Fang Yuan immediately activated his Immortal GU, restoring himself to his previous state. The purple tint on his face disappeared, and his injuries were almost all gone. But there was still large amounts of frost energy solidifying inside his body, making him feel uncomfortable. The frost energy was not a result of the GU refinement failure, but had accumulated in Fang Yuan's body throughout the refinement process. Because the time duration was long, man as before was not able to produce perfect results. Speaking of which, I have mainly been relying on man as before as my healing method. This rank 6 Immortal GU is extremely useful, and is the core to many killer moves in the Shadow Sect inheritances. Given some time, after I train and get proficient in these killer moves, my healing ability will definitely rise sharply. Fang Yuan started pondering when suddenly a flash of inspiration hit him. Wait, since there is man as before, why is there no GU as before? A GU worm to heal GU worms. This was possible. If there is an immortal GU like GU as before, can't I use it as the core to design an immortal killer move to help me refine GU? If there is truly such a killer move, then I could have used it just before to immediately recover the damage and return back to the final step of the GU refinement. Fang Yuan's eyes shone as he began to inspect the storage of Shadow Sect inheritances in his mind. The true inheritance contents of Shadow Sect was as vast as a sea. After Fang Yuan looked through them, he found that this idea had already been envisioned by predecessors. And there were many who thought of this. Most of them were Refinement Path GU Immortals, and there were also those of Time Path. There were many inheritances where predecessors had recorded their thoughts and results regarding GU as before. However, they were all incomplete Immortal GU recipes, and not one was deduced completely. It was very difficult to realize this concept. As far as most GU Immortals were concerned, man as before had a limited range of use. Rank 6 man as before had a very weak effect on rank 7 GU Immortals, and often the activation would fail. Rank 7 man as before also did not have outstanding effects on most rank 7 GU Immortals. Unless the target was a Time Path GU Immortal with a lot of Time Path Dao marks, then they would not conflict with man as before, and also be able to amplify its ability. Since man as before was like this, GU as before was even more troubling. To GU Immortals, using GU as before to restore mortal GU had small significance because GU Immortals did not lack mortal GU. The matter of mortal GU was only a problem of quantity for them. Naturally, lifespan GU was an exception. But using GU as before to restore immortal GU was even more difficult than restoring GU Immortals. Because every immortal GU was a fragment of the Great Tao in their respective paths. There was a strong conflict between immortal GU of different paths. Immortal GU could coordinate with each other, but using their effect on another immortal GU was a completely different concept. Unless they had dominance in rank. For instance, using rank 7 GU as before to restore rank 6 GU had some likelihood. But using it on rank 7 would definitely fail. The concept of GU as before was extremely enticing, but it was too difficult to create in reality. There were many GU Immortals who had such inspirations, and there was not a lack of Refinement Path and Time Path Great Grandmasters among them. Unfortunately, none of their efforts succeeded. GU as before was not a viable concept, but Fang Yuan had other ways around it. For instance, some Refinement Path Immortal formations. These immortal formations had short-term effects of backtracking through time. GU Immortals could activate these immortal formations to restore any mistakes. In Shadow Sect's inheritances, there were over 10 such immortal GU formations. But each of them had some disadvantages. Some had enormous demand on immortal essence, some had limited numbers of times they could backtrack through time, and some were only limited to refining rank 6 immortal GU. Among these immortal GU formations, the greatest one was Immortal GU House Regret Pool. One of the 3 legendary pools of the world. Unfortunately, be it Regret Pool or those immortal GU formations, I only have the inheritances but lack the suitable immortal GU. Fang Yuan sighed, feeling troubled at having the knowledge but not having materials to put it to use. Actually, in his current situation, there were too many options laid in front of him. When ordinary people came across immortal opportunities and inherited some predecessor's inheritance, they would jump in joy, their cultivation journey would also brighten up and their prospects would widen. Fang Yuan's shadow sect inheritances were gathered by spectral soul demon Venerable in his life, and even continued for 100,000 years after his death. It could be said Fang Yuan had obtained a sea of inheritances. He had countless choices in his cultivation journey. And among these choices, the most attractive were Soul Path, Time Path, Earth Path and Space Path. Because they were inheritances of Venerables, even a small portion could create chaos and cause GU Immortals over the 5 regions to engage in mortal combat. With these in his hands, needless to say, Fang Yuan's future prospects were limitless. But the things that could truly provide the greatest help to Fang Yuan were not these new choices. Because although these choices had immense prospects and were extremely tempting, the amount of time, energy and resources they consumed were astronomical. The one thing that could greatly help Fang Yuan currently was Wisdom GU. The light of wisdom could provide an incomparable help to cultivation. Fang Yuan had already tasted the benefits of this, and had an extremely deep impression of it. And to obtain Wisdom Gu's acknowledgement once again, he had to use his original rank 6 Strength Path Immortal Zombie Body. Fang Yuan already had the method to get rid of the Soul Path trap in the Immortal Zombie Body, he was only lacking the core Immortal GU, Cleanse Soul. It all simmered down to refining Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. Regretfully, they had already tried to refine Cleanse Soul Immortal GU over 10 times, but all the attempts failed. Although the ice refinement method suits me really well, I have not focused on Ice Path before, moreover these final few steps are truly difficult. Fang Yuan sighed. That's true. Sixth hair went up to Fang Yuan's side and sighed as he looked at the ground filled with ice pieces. The success rate of refining an immortal GU was too low, it was a pit with no end in sight. Only the current Fang Yuan had such accumulation and resolution to continue the attempts to refine Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. Currently, Fang Yuan had one big concern, whether someone had already refined Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. Immortal GU were unique. If that was the case, he would not be able to succeed in the refinement no matter what. However, this could be investigated to some degree. If the Immortal GU refinement had no mistakes during the whole process, but failed inexplicably at the moment of success, it would imply someone had already refined Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. But Cleanse Soul Immortal GU's recipe was a secret, and the range of its circulation was quite small, adding on that it had not been long since it had been destroyed, Fang Yuan's chances were still high. Maybe we can modify the last few steps. We can use Snow Lotus Essence to replace those Ice Path Immortal materials. Sixth hair said. Modifying the Immortal GU recipe. Fang Yuan mumbled, slightly nodding his head. The final few steps were truly too difficult. After replacing the immortal materials, these few steps could be broken down, although it would lengthen the procedures and time of the entire refinement process, the difficulty would decrease by a lot. Then let's try modifying the Immortal GU recipe. Fang Yuan considered for a moment before deciding. Modifying an Immortal GU recipe could not be done casually, and required continuous attempts, it contained huge risks and would waste many resources. But Snow Lotus Essence, this rank 7 immortal material, is quite difficult to obtain, and is rarely seen in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Fang Yuan was slightly worried. Sixth hair smiled. That's of no concern, snowman tribes produce a lot of this immortal material. Don't forget that we have already joined Northern Plains Variant Human Alliance. I have asked around and found that the snowman tribe below the northern icy plain has plenty of Snow Lotus Essence. Let's purchase them then. Fang Yuan put his mind at ease. Although he had few immortal essence stones currently, he had countless shadow sect inheritances, just taking out some of these could lead to terrifying chaos and carnage. Thus, Fang Yuan was simply not worried that the snowman tribe would be unmoved. I must obtain the Snow Lotus Essence. A sharp light flashed past Fang Yuan's eyes. He had to refine Cleanse Soul Immortal GU as fast as possible, for this, Fang Yuan would not hesitate to pay any cost. Chapter 1442 Duke Long's Disciple. Over a month later. Central Continent, Spirit Affinity House's headquarters. A Taoist temple was floating on the clouds. Immortal GU aura permeated all around it. This Taoist temple was Spirit Affinity House's Time Path Immortal GU House, Sun and Moon Temple. The archway, the main hall and the side halls were all integrated into one. This Taoist temple was one of the foundations of Spirit Affinity House, its biggest effect was to facilitate in cultivation of GU Immortals. In normal times, Sun and Moon Temple would be in the control of Spirit Affinity House's Supreme Elders, they would take turns in using it to help in their cultivation. But right now, Sun and Moon Temple was taken out and placed in the air. Moreover, it was activated, every corner and tile of the Taoist temple was alternating between emitting the light of the sun and moon. The beautiful light shone on the surrounding clouds, making them look auspicious, and creating a scene of an immortal sanctuary. In the main hall of the Taoist temple, GU immortals had already gathered. Almost all the spirit affinity houses' supreme elders were present, along with Feng Juzhe, Fairy Bai Qing, Shu Hao, Li Junying, and the recently turned GU Immortal, the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House, Zhao Lianyun. But currently, the main character was not any of them, but Feng Jinhuang. Feng Jinhuang was dressed in neat and sharp white clothing, while her expression was solemn. She was kneeling on the ground, kowtowing to Duke Long, who was on the main seat. This was the ceremony of Feng Jinhuang becoming the disciple of Duke Long. Normally speaking, Feng Jinhuang, who was already in a sect, could not easily acknowledge another GU immortal as her master. But who was Duke Long? Everyone in Spirit Affinity House complied with this, they were jubilant. Several supreme elders of Spirit Affinity House had even discussed to make this ceremony of the highest standard, and also publicize this widely to raise the sect's prestige. However, this suggestion was refused by Duke Long. Duke Long had notified them, everything should be kept simple, they should not publicize it, but the standards should be kept high. The first Supreme Elder of Spirit Affinity House personally took charge. She devoted all her effort to consult ancient texts and spent painstaking care to follow the master-disciple acknowledgement ceremony that was popular in Duke Long's era. Duke Long did not show anything on the surface, but was inwardly quite satisfied with this grand ceremony. Especially when his gaze landed on Feng Jinhuang, his eyes revealed even more joy. After the kowtowing ceremony was finished, Feng Jinhuang stood up and took out a cup of tea, offering it to Duke Long with both hands. In the silent hall, Feng Jinhuang spoke in a clear voice, "Lord Duke Long, please accept my golden jade dew tea." Duke Long took the teacup and lifted the lid. Instantly, the tea let out a gorgeous and gentle golden light, shining upon the ceiling, creating a magnificent scene. Duke Long slowly closed his eyes and brought the teacup to his nose, taking a light sniff. The fragrance was subtle and extremely clear, like the smell of dew on the grass in the morning of spring, pure and without blemish, and also gave off a smell of brightness and liveliness. "This tea is good," Duke Long smiled, slowly opening his eyes as he took a sip. The tea entered his throat, and it indeed was not ordinary. Even Duke Long had rarely come across such an excellent tea in his life. "Feng Jinhuang, you are a refinement path great grand master, your tea brewing is naturally extraordinary. Good, from now onwards, you shall be my second disciple." The great hall immediately started buzzing with his words. Every GU immortal was smiling happily, even Shu Hao and Li Junying were no exception. "Play the immortal music," Spirit Affinity House's first Supreme Elder said softly. The next moment, clear and wonderful immortal music started playing without lacking solemnness and grandness. Disciple pays respect to master. Feng Jinhuang kowtowed once again, this time she addressed Duke Long as master, and herself as disciple. This grand master-disciple acknowledgement ceremony had finally finished after over 2 hours. The significance of this grand ceremony was extremely huge. Spirit Affinity House's Supreme Elders were red with excitement. This was the leader of Heavenly Court, Lord Duke Long, he had personally taken in a disciple. The whole of Spirit Affinity House felt honored. As Feng Jinhuang's mother, tears fell out of Fairy Bai Qing's eyes in excitement. Feng Juzhe stood by her and lightly held her hand, he was also extremely gratified. "Tomorrow, Feng Jinhuang will return to Heavenly Court with me and cultivate there. Feng Juzhe and Bai Qing, remain behind, others can leave now." Duke Long waved for the others to leave, only Feng Jinhuang and her parents still remained. Feng Juzhe Bai Qing pays respects to Lord Duke Long. The two bowed respectfully. Duke Long slightly nodded, taking a glance at Fairy Bai Qing before looking at Feng Juzhe. "The task of killing Fang Yuan failed," Duke Long said with an indifferent tone. "Feng Juzhe, I am ashamed." A few months back, Feng Juzhe and the others had been guarding the tributary of the River of Time in Western Desert, but where could they see Fang Yuan? As time passed, Fairy Ziwei also felt something wrong, and because of Feng Jinhuang's master acknowledgement ceremony, Feng Juzhe was called back to Central Continent. But the other two Heavenly Court rank 8 GU immortals still remained back in Western Desert, and had even began setting up an immortal GU formation. Duke Long continued. "Fang Yuan is an otherworldly demon, and also the only complete otherworldly demon. He is the worst enemy of Heavenly Court, and also the target that you, Feng Juzhe, must eliminate. I have only taken in 2 disciples my whole life, you should be clear of the significance." Feng Jinhuang is the prospective Great Dream Immortal Venerable, and you, Feng Juzhe, are her Tao Guardian. What? I am Huang Er's Tao Guardian? Feng Juzhe was surprised. This is a heavenly secret, it should not have been revealed. But this has already been learned by Shadow Sect, so it doesn't matter now. The great era is coming, Great Dream Immortal Venerable will be born, and heaven and earth shall experience an unprecedented transformation. Fang Yuan is the obstacle blocking the path of heavenly court, and is also the inevitable enemy of you two, father and daughter. You need to shoulder this heavy task that fate has assigned to you, lead all living beings to a brand new era. Saying this, Duke Long paused to give the three time to digest it. Feng Jinhuang's family calmed down only after a while. Duke Long then said to Feng Jinhuang, Huang my disciple, you will follow me and accept my guidance. You are going to be separated from your parents in some time, you can spend some time together now, tomorrow, at dawn, I will come to take you to heavenly court. Duke Long instructed, his figure quietly disappearing from the main seat. Huang to think that you are the chosen one. You must cultivate hard in heavenly court. You bear the task of the new era, the well-being of the people in this world will depend on your decisions in the future. Fairy Bai Qing's eyes reddened, slightly reluctant to separate. Mother, I still cannot believe it. This is just like a dream. Feng Jinhuang threw herself into Fairy Bai Qing's arms. When I heard that Lord Duke Long wanted to take you as his disciple, I had already predicted some matters about you. It is just that I did not expect your father to be your Tao Guardian. Fairy Bai Qing was filled with emotions. Father, mother, what is a Tao Guardian? Feng Jinhuang asked curiously. Feng Juzhe explained. In an Immortal Venerable's or Demon Venerable's cultivation journey, they would always have a Tao Guardian. Every Tao Guardian plays an important role in the development of the Venerable. Oh, Feng Jinhuang then asked again. Master said that he has two disciples. I am the second, that means there is a first disciple. Who is it? Feng Juzhe's and Fairy Bai Qing's expressions changed slightly. The two quickly glanced at each other. Fairy Bai Qing instructed Feng Jinhuang in a heavy tone. Huang this is a taboo, when you arrive in heavenly court, never mention it. Especially in front of your master. Why? Feng Jinhuang became even more curious. At this time, Feng Juzhe gave the answer. Because Duke Long's first disciple, your senior brother, was the most mysterious Red Lotus Demon Venerable in history. Chapter 1443, Cleanse Soul Refined. This is the Snow Lotus Essence. Fang Yuan looked at the immortal material in his hand and murmured in admiration. Snow Lotus Essence was extremely exquisite, it was only the size of an adult fist, its pink petals, bright red stamens, and the whole flower surface was covered in a layer of ice as thick as a fingernail. This ice layer was pure and transparent, radiating bursts of coldness. This coldness was not a chilling cold, but was more like the coldness of spring. Despite being cold, it contained vigorous vitality. It was the first time for Fang Yuan to come across and see this rank 7 immortal material. Because it was so rare that even in Treasure Yellow Heaven, it was a scarce item. The reason for this was that this immortal material only grew in large-scale snowman tribes. And the current 5 regions were ruled by humans, while the various variant human tribes were forced to live in some corners of the world. Fang Yuan was able to easily obtain this immortal material, mainly due to the variant human alliance. Not only did Fang Yuan obtain Snow Lotus Essence, it was moreover a huge amount. I am really surprised, I did not think the Snowman tribe would have amassed so much Snow Lotus Essence. Sixth Hare said from the side. Snow Lotus Essence is very rare even in Treasure Yellow Heaven, it will definitely cause a bidding war if it is put up for sale. Unfortunately, strength decides the rules in this world. The Snowman tribe is worried about the risks of exposing themselves, so they only sell small amounts of immortal materials like Snow Lotus Essence every once in a while. Fang Yuan said with a gaze that was clear of the underlying reasons. It is indeed the case. Sixth Hare nodded. Actually, our Langya sect also has such resources which are rare in the human GU immortal world, but we also cannot casually bring them out, for fear that we would leave behind clues and lead to an invasion by human GU immortals. Fang Yuan's eyes shined brightly. He saw a business opportunity. Maybe later on, he could be a middleman for the transactions, after all, he was a human. He really needed these profits. With the frequent GU refinement attempts recently, Fang Yuan had already paid an enormous price. Although most of the cost was paid using all kinds of inheritance contents, be it him or other GU immortals of Shadow Sect, they would need more resources to continue cultivating and managing their immortal apertures. Fang Yuan looked at Sixth Hare as he shook his head. He knew Sixth Hare's words had deep meaning. Since he raised this issue, he not only reminded Fang Yuan, but also used an implicit way to offer himself to take on the assignment. If Fang Yuan had plans on doing something in this area, then Sixth Hair could mediate between the two sides and help Fang Yuan fight for benefits. But this was not important now. Right now, what I want is to refine Cleanse Soul Immortal GU as soon as possible. Since we have obtained Snow Lotus Essence, then we shall start on modifying the Immortal GU recipe next. We will first separately modify the recipe, then combine them later to overcome the shortcomings on both sides, and finally obtain the most optimal GU recipe. Fang Yuan instructed Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair did not forget to put on an act to deceive Langya Land Spirit. How many sect contribution points will you give me then? After a round of haggling, Sixth Hair obtained a satisfactory price, while Fang Yuan left the GU refinement hall and returned to his Cloud City. He had personally examined the Snow Lotus Essence, and just like the type that Sixth Hair had recommended, these were superior immortal materials. The flowers were ice cold, but they contained warm life force within. They would be an extremely good replacement for that flowing fire core in the original GU recipe. The main reason was that Fang Yuan was using the ice refinement method. Snow Lotus Essence naturally suited the ice refinement method more than flowing fire core. An immortal GU could have a lot of different immortal GU recipes. There was not just one way to reach the same goal. And when an immortal GU recipe was given to an expert refinement path GU immortal, they first distinguished which GU refinement method was closer to the immortal GU recipe and had a higher probability of success. Then in the GU refinement process, the GU immortal might discover that some procedures in the immortal GU recipe did not suit them, or maybe they found better replacements for immortal materials. Like this, they could further increase the success rate. Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair were currently doing this. However, the task of modifying the immortal GU recipe was mainly given to Sixth Hair. After all, Sixth Hair's refinement path attainment was higher than Fang Yuan's. What Fang Yuan was exceptional in was his wisdom path attainment level in his wisdom path methods. The only pity was that both Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair had ordinary attainment in soul path. In the following days, Fang Yuan began cultivating while modifying the immortal GU recipe of Cleanse Soul. Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley. He was once again using these two great secluded domains of heaven and earth to cultivate soul path. His soul path cultivation progressed by leaps and bounds. Even Fang Yuan felt it was somewhat inconceivable. Truly the sacred lands of soul path. Of course the main reasons are these cultivation methods. These are from spectral soul's true inheritance. Fang Yuan was quite moved. Back then, spectral soul demon Venerable had also cultivated in these two secluded domains of heaven and earth. He had summed up and formulated a complete set of comprehensive, complementary, and orderly cultivation methods. Fang Yuan was just following it word by word. Previously, he had used Burning Soul Bursting Luck once in Western Desert, and it had been enough to deplete his soul path foundation entirely. But after just a few days, he had almost restored his foundation with terrifying efficiency. This is still considering that I lack the crucial immortal GU and cannot use many immortal killer moves, only able to use these mortal methods. Fortunately, my sovereign immortal body has no conflict in Dao marks, so mortal methods are also effective. Fang Yuan was cultivating soul path, raising his soul foundation once again. The main reason was naturally to refine Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. Burning Soul Bursting Luck could immediately cause his luck to increase sharply, and this had a mystical effect when refining Immortal GU. As to making Yingwu Xie use Burning Soul Bursting Luck, it was not that it was not effective, but there were too many who were luck connected, only a part of the luck would be effective on Fang Yuan. It was far better for Fang Yuan to use Burning Soul Bursting Luck himself, and then fix his luck. There was also another reason. Yingwu Xie could use Lead Soul into Dream. If his soul path foundation was too low, this killer move's power would be limited. Of course, Fang Yuan was definitely going to master this killer move later on. However, now that he was in Langya Blessed Land, there was no hurry. Time went by quickly. Over half a month had passed in Langya Blessed Land. Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair had collated their gains and created a modified Immortal GU recipe. There was nothing to talk about. Next was to continue the GU refinement. First attempt, failure. Second attempt, failure. Third attempt, failure. Large amounts of immortal materials were wasted, however they were not in vain. After the failures, Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair adjusted the Immortal GU recipe and perfected it to the limit of their abilities. During the fourth attempt, Fang Yuan activated Burning Soul Bursting Luck, causing his luck to increase greatly. This time, he refined to the final juncture, but regretfully, still failed. Fifth attempt, failure. 6th attempt, another failure. 7th, 8th, 9th. Fang Yuan continued to attempt it, persevering without giving up. After every failure, he would bitterly practice his refinement path skills, and at the same time, enter the 2 sacred lands of soul path and use the cultivation methods in spectral soul's true inheritance to quickly increase his soul path foundation. When his soul foundation was of standard, Fang Yuan used burning soul bursting luck once again, and continued attempting the GU refinement. 13th attempt, failure. 14th attempt, failure. 15th, success. Success came unexpectedly and somewhat suddenly. Fang Yuan held Cleanse Soul Immortal GU in his hand. He succeeded at the 15th attempt, adding on 6th hair's previous failures. The refinement had been attempted close to 30 times in total. The resources spent were in an incomparably enormous amount, just to refine one rank 6 Immortal GU. If it were an ordinary GU Immortal, they would have gone bankrupt long ago. Even the past Fang Yuan with his sovereign Immortal aperture would not be able to bear such a price. Having inherited Shadow Sect's true inheritances and having a buyer that could afford them, Langya Sect, as well as having enough supply of the crucial Immortal material, Snow Lotus Essence, and a refinement path GU Immortal's committed support, all these reasons finally created Fang Yuan's success. Cleanse Soul Immortal GU has finally been refined. Fang Yuan inhaled deeply before sighing. Chapter 1444, Qing Sis Dismay. Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. It looked like a tadpole but with the size of Fang Yuan's fist, and was completely grayish-white. Right now, it was floating above Fang Yuan's palm. I finally succeeded. It was not easy. Fang Yuan inwardly sighed. Refining GU was truly a huge gamble. They had attempted close to 30 times before barely succeeding. The resources consumed were already in enormous numbers. Fang Yuan was not able to bring out these resources, but he could take out Shadow Sect's inheritances and exchange them for Langya Sect's sect contribution points, and use these sect contribution points to exchange for plentiful resources from Langya Sect's warehouse. But these resources did not include the crucial Immortal material Snow Lotus Essence. The fact in front of them proved this rank 7 Immortal material was greatly helpful. After the Immortal GU recipe had gone through modifications, it would become much better than before, or more accurately, it would become much more suitable for Fang Yuan's refinement method. The only mild disappointment was that this Cleanse Soul Immortal GU was only rank 6. If it were rank 7 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU, it could directly be used to set up the Immortal Killer move which could start breaking the soul path trap in the Immortal zombie body. Rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU could be used as well, but its effect was much lower, and required at least 8 years before it could completely get rid of the soul path trap. This was of course without counting those time path methods. If time path methods were used to supplement the killer move, Fang Yuan estimated the 8 years of time could be reduced to 3 years. 3 years was referring to the time in 5 regions. This was the limit of Fang Yuan's current ability. 3 years is too long. Fang Yuan's gaze was deep. If it were rank 7 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU, he would require at most half a year of time, in 5 regions' time, to resolve the soul path trap in the Immortal zombie body. However, refining rank 7 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU was much more difficult than refining rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. Moreover, rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU had to be used as the main material to refine it. After all, Immortal GU were unique. Since rank 6 Cleanse Soul existed, there could be no rank 7, rank 8 or even rank 9 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU in the world. The risk, however, would become much higher. When Fang Yuan was refining Cleanse Soul and failed, only some Immortal materials were destroyed. But if the refinement of rank 7 Cleanse Soul failed, the rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU might be the one destroyed, and everything would have to be started over again. Naturally, Fang Yuan could ensure the safety of the Immortal materials to some degree with his Blood Acid Immortal GU. But it was unknown if he could protect the rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU during the highly risky refinement process. Moreover, Fang Yuan would have to research the method first. Fang Yuan had attainment level in Blood Path, but his refinement path attainment was slightly subpar. Lord Sect Leader, do we continue refining? Maybe I could change my Vital GU to Cleanse Soul Immortal GU. 6th Hair transmitted his voice. After becoming a Vital GU, Cleanse Soul Immortal GU could be refined to advance to rank 7, and even if the process failed, it would still continue to exist as long as 6th Hair did not die. At most it would suffer heavy injuries and be on the verge of dying. But Fang Yuan refused. That's not appropriate. Not to mention that changing Vital GU is extremely dangerous and could harm you severely. Langya Land Spirit is not easy to deceive. Our relationship on the surface is not enough for you to make such a sacrifice. Then how about letting someone else change it to their vital GU? Ying Wuxie and He Lulan are both eligible candidates. I suggest Ying Wuxie. Sixth Hair suggested. This was indeed a good suggestion. Bai Ningbing could be excluded, Lady White Rabbit and Fairy Miao Yin were not as reliable as He Lulan and Ying Wuxie, and could also be excluded. The remaining ones were Ying Wuxie, who was a split soul of spectral soul, and He Lulan, who was restricted by the alliance agreement and was unable to rebel. Comparing the two, Ying Wuxie was naturally slightly better, after all, he had high soul path attainment. Moreover, when Fang Yuan took his lead soul into dream in the future, cleansed soul immortal GU could replenish some of his strength. Fang Yuan, however, shook his head. He had refined cleansed soul immortal GU after so much effort, how could he give it so easily, at most he would only lend it. Moreover, cleansed soul immortal GU was practical, and when used in soul path cultivation, it could slightly cover up some insufficiencies of Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley. Fang Yuan already intended to firmly hold cleansed soul himself. However, Sixth Hair's words reminded him of some things. Although I am Shadow Sect's leader, my control over the sect is rather poor. Bai Ningbing is not controlled by me, we can only be considered allies who are using each other. Lady White Rabbit likes me, and because of the true inheritance as well, she is following me. Fairy Miao Yin is also cultivating a Shadow Sect inheritance, and is chased by Southern Border's Righteous Path forces, so she can only stand by my side. He Lulan is bound by our alliance agreement and is unable to betray me, but she is ambitious, she absolutely won't be content with the current state. It is just that she has no way to revolt for the moment. As for Ying Wuxie and Sixth Hair, they are spectral souls split souls, and are always thinking of saving the main body. But this hope is too minuscule, and they are too weak, so they can only depend on me. If Fang Yuan were to listen to Sixth Hair and hand cleanse soul immortal GU to Ying Wuxie, in the future, if they had a great opportunity to save spectral soul's main body but it did not align with Fang Yuan's plans, what would they do? Ying Wuxie and Sixth Hair's decision absolutely would not incline towards Fang Yuan. At that time, Fang Yuan's action of handing cleanse soul immortal GU to Ying Wuxie would be a foolish move of supporting the enemy. Hence, Fang Yuan said another plan to Sixth Hair. Although it is only a rank 6 cleanse soul immortal GU, there are some unique methods in Shadow Sect's inheritances that can speed its growth. But it requires sacrificing a rank 7 GU immortal soul. Sixth Hair was dazed before tensing up immediately. Sect leader is thinking of. You should know that you are wanted by both Longevity Heaven and every Huang Jin tribe. Relax, I have it under control. Fang Yuan patted Sixth Hair's shoulder, and slowly walked away. The morning sun passed through the window and shone in the room. Murong Qingxi's mood was great as she sat before a table and hummed a song while playing with the flowers in the pot. The flowers were in full bloom, and under the sunlight, the red petals looked tender and joyous. Today was a joyous day for Murong Qingxi. Because her lover Yun Liang, according to their previous agreement, was going to come to Murong tribe today to formally ask for her hand in marriage. Actually, it had not been long since the two were acquainted. Murong Qingxi was an immortal from Murong tribe, while Yun Liang was a famous lone cultivator in northern plains with the nickname of Cloud Gentleman. Although both were famous characters, the two first saw each other at He tribe's Iron Eagle blessed land. They had gotten into a conflict because of immortal material affinity wood. Affinity wood was a rootless tree that grew in the air. It was extremely fragile, there could be no disturbance when gathering it, otherwise this highly valuable immortal material would be destroyed. When Murong Qingxi had discovered the affinity wood, Cloud Gentleman Yun Liang had already begun collecting it. Murong Qingxi did not attack, quietly waiting for him to finish collecting. Yun Liang was very elegant, showing willingness to spar with Murong Qingxi, with the winner taking all the affinity wood. Destiny was truly a mysterious thing. The two were acquainted like this, and in the following days, came across each other many times because of some coincidences. As time continued to pass, because of their similar opinions in many things, feelings began to grow between them, and they even pledged to marry each other. Unfortunately, their identities were an obstruction to this marriage. The woman was a Huang Jin tribe GU immortal, while the man was a lone cultivator. Their relationship was reported by someone, they became extremely anxious, but soon, the situation turned better unexpectedly. After Longevity Heaven knew of this situation, they actually approved of Yun Liang's and Murong Qingxi's marriage. Because of Heavenly Court's strength, Longevity Heaven was beginning to make plans to deal with the wave of the incoming Great Era. And to unite even more GU immortals of the Northern Plains GU immortal world, Longevity Heaven was happy to see this marriage happen. Young Liang could be said to be a symbolic figure among lone immortals. The political significance of him marrying into the Huang Jin tribe's Morong tribe was extremely huge. If it succeeded, Longevity Heaven would even encourage this matter in the future. Morong Qingxi naturally did not know of these schemes. She only felt surprised and happy, and was even more thankful towards Longevity Heaven, rejoicing at her hard-earned love. Young Liang is coming to propose marriage today. The immortal materials are prepared and confirmed. I have checked the list of presents and there are no issues. The clan's supreme elders have received Longevity Heaven's instructions, and will not obstruct this marriage. As long as the marriage proposal succeeds, I will be getting ready for the marriage a month later. But why is there an indescribable feeling of unease lingering in my heart? Morong Qingxi's delicate brows rose slightly. She pressed her palm on her chest as she felt an inexplicable unease. Am I getting insecure because of extreme joy? He, there are no issues. What more obstructions can there be? Maybe, because I am filled with joy and blissfulness, this feels very surreal to me. He. Morong Qingxi blushed as she let her thoughts wander. She laughed, her face shining from the bright light inside the room. However, at the next moment, she suddenly stiffened, her face turning deathly pale. At this moment, a soul lantern GU and a life tablet GU had shattered inside her immortal aperture. These two GU worms were the tokens that she and Yun Liang had given to each other. Yun Liang, no way, this is not possible. Crack, Morong Qingxi burst out of the window and flew frantically towards the sky. Chapter 1445, Culprit Fang Yuan. Morong Qingxi flew with all her might, her reckless action immediately attracting the attention of other GU immortals. What happened? Looking at Morong Qingxi's expression, something seems wrong. Qingxi, wait a moment, why are you so panicked? A tribe GU immortal inquired, but Morong Qingxi just kept on flying. Her heart was filled with panic and terror as she was desperate to verify the truth. Move, let's go take a look. Today is the day that Yun Liang is coming to propose a marriage, but Morong Qingxi is so anxious, unless. Soon, 3 GU immortal figures flew out from Morong tribe's headquarters and followed after Morong Qingxi. The life tablet GU and soul lantern GU on Morong Qingxi had already shattered, so she was unable to rely on them to determine Yun Liang's location, but she knew the route Yun Liang was going to take to come to Morong tribe. Right now, she only needed to check this route. After madly flying for few minutes, a ruined battlefield suddenly appeared in Morong Qingxi's vision. Her whole body shook violently as she quickly descended. Yun Liang, where are you? Morong Qingxi called out repeatedly, but only the sound of wind replied her in this battered battlefield. Oh no, there was a huge battle here. How could this happen? The 3 Morong tribe GU immortals who had followed from behind, saw this scene and immediately realized the severity of the situation as they began to search as well. The 4 GU immortals turned over the whole battlefield, finally making some discoveries. An information path mortal GU was deeply buried under the ground, and seemed to be a dying message left behind by Yun Liang. Qingxi, you need to mentally prepare yourself. A Morong tribe GU immortal worriedly looked at Morong Qingxi. Her condition was clearly not good, and looking at this information path mortal GU, her mind started shaking as fear filled her heart. But finally, she still clasped this mortal GU with her trembling hands. She then transferred her mental sense inside, and the moment she read the contents, she shouted, Fang Yuan, I won't forgive you. Her voice was so sad and contained such hatred that it even shook the hearts of the other Morong tribe GU immortals. Goo! At the next moment, Morong Qingxi coughed out a mouthful of blood, and fell down on her back. But the anger and sorrow in her heart were so great that she fainted. The other Morong tribe GU immortals quickly moved to support her. She was not injured, it was just that her heart had suffered a huge trauma. They discussed for a moment, and decided that waking her up now would not be good for her. The 3 GU immortals then took turns in inspecting the contents of the GU worm. This crucial information path mortal GU recorded the scene of the final battle of Yun Liang's life. His opponent was an ancient sword dragon. This ancient sword dragon could use immortal killer moves, and also possessed an extremely powerful defensive method that could reflect attacks. Its identity was almost certain. The 3 GU immortals immediately thought of a name, Lu Guanyi. But what relation did Lu Guanyi have with Fang Yuan? They continued to read the contents before coming to a realization. Towards the end of the battle, the ancient sword dragon transformed into a human. He was Lu Guanyi, and he struck Yun Liang with a fatal move. Yun Liang cursed. Lu Guanyi, we have neither hatred nor grievance between us, but you are going after my life. I won't let you go even if I turn into a ghost. Lu Guanyi sneered. So unfortunate, you won't even have the opportunity to turn into a ghost. Go die. Oh, that's right, Lu Guanyi is only my alias, my real name is Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan, Yun Liang's gaze slowly dimmed. Fang Yuan sneered. Hey, being able to know my name before dying is your honor. Because in the future, my name will resound throughout heaven and earth, countless beings shall tremble at my name. Merciless, savage, and domineering aura assaulted the three Morong tribe Gu immortals. So Lu Guanyi is actually Fang Yuan, and Fang Yuan is Lu Guanyi, they are both the same person. Bastard. Lu Guanyi, no, Fang Yuan, he actually dared to kill Yun Liang, this is a complete disregard for my Morong tribe. One Gu immortal clenched his fists, unable to restrain his fury. But the other two immortals fell into a strange silence. Why are you not speaking? The furious Gu immortal asked. Those two Gu immortals sighed at the same time. One of them said, Fang Yuan is an otherworldly demon who destroyed 88 Truyong building, he is also Lu Guanyi who subdued Reverse Flow River and has rank 8 battle strength. He offended both Yi Lui tribe and Lu tribe, but look at how they are behaving now. Although they had issued arrest warrants against Fang Yuan, after the Battle of Reverse Flow River, these two tribes ceased all activities and don't dare to find trouble for Fang Yuan. I am afraid our Morong tribe. The furious Gu immortal's eyes opened wide as he shouted, afraid of what? We belong to the Grand Huang Jin tribes, descendants of Giant Sun, with so many Gu immortals, how can we fear a measly otherworldly demon? We need to take revenge. We need to show them the might of Northern Plains' righteous path. The other two Gu immortals could only look at each other bitterly. Even after so many years, Morong Xingsheng is still the same. The two secretly conversed. Ignore him, this matter is not so simple. Morong Qingsis and Yun Liang's marriage is not just a matter of our Morong tribe, Longevity Heaven is also paying attention to it. If this is not handled properly, it might raise a huge turbulence. There is more than meets the eye, it is not something that rank 6 minor characters like us can take part in, if we are not careful, we might get engulfed by this whirlpool and die without a corpse. You are right, the urgent thing now is to report this situation and this crucial clue to First Supreme Elder. Langya Blessed Land, inside a cloud city. Inside a secret room, Fang Yuan was sitting cross-legged on a cushion with his eyes shut tightly. Almost all of his attention was on his sovereign immortal aperture. Cleansed soul immortal Gu, which had been refined not long ago, was floating in the air. Large amount of mortal Gu as well as several supplementary immortal Gu were surrounding it. All these Gu worms activated, emitting faint white radiance. The radiance gathered on an immortal zombie body. It was Fang Yuan's 8-armed strength path immortal zombie body. The faint white radiance had already covered it for a long time now, but the immortal zombie body showed not even the slightest movement. But Fang Yuan was not anxious or surprised, because he had still not taken the crucial step. He had only been getting familiar with this immortal killer move, and stabilizing the situation. After few minutes of time, Fang Yuan inwardly nodded. He took out a rank 7 Gu immortal's soul. It was the soul of Yi Lui Qun Xing, a rank 7 expert of Yi Lui tribe. Maybe it felt the danger of destruction. Yi Lui Qun Xing's soul struggled intensely, letting out ear-piercing soul howls. But that was it, not to mention the current Fang Yuan who had spectral soul's true inheritance, even if it were before, he could easily suppress this measly soul. Yi Lui Qun Xing was very powerful when he was alive, but this was just a soul, what could he do? Chapter 1446. Soul Path Trap Dispelled. Soon, Yi Lui Qun Xing's soul entered the range of the faint white radiance. Yi Lui Qun Xing's soul strangely quietened, not moving at all, as if it had suddenly lost its ability to think. Then, specks of faint green light started to fly out of the soul. The amount of these lights grew rapidly, and drifted in the air like a drizzle of rain. Fang Yuan willed as these specks of light found a direction, they surged towards the strength path immortal zombie body. Layers of light covered the immortal zombie body, destroying the soul path Dao marks in it. As time passed, the soul path Dao marks on the immortal zombie began to decrease gradually, while Yi Lui Qun Xing's soul also began to weaken constantly. Fang Yuan's mind was calm as still water, maintaining the killer move stably without any hesitation. This killer move needed to be maintained for over 3 days and 3 nights before the soul path trap in the immortal zombie body could be completely removed. The whole process would spend over 1200 beads of red data mortal essence. This was the case after using a rank 7 Gu immortal soul and cleansed soul immortal Gu, with the exact method recorded in Spectral Soul's true inheritance. If Fang Yuan were to envision it himself with trial and error, the amount of time, effort and resources required would be astronomical. Fang Yuan was not worried about lacking immortal essence, he had made ample preparation. Time slowly passed like this. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Fang Yuan slowly stopped the killer move. He calculated for a moment, the amount of red date immortal essence used had passed 1300, and it was after he used some immortal GU to replace several original procedures. This huge immortal essence expenditure emptied his immortal essence storage at once. But Fang Yuan was instead filled with joy. Perceivable Dao Immortal GU. He activated this unique information path Immortal GU, and after inspecting the Dao marks, he smiled in satisfaction. It's finally gone. The soul path trap on the immortal zombie body is completely removed. It had not been easy. It truly had not been easy. The issue of the soul path trap had troubled Fang Yuan for a long time. Now, he had finally resolved it. For a moment, the joy of success filled Fang Yuan's heart. But, after he calmed down, he did not personally test it. He was cautious, he chose to use other GU immortal souls to inspect the body. After several tests, he verified there was indeed no issue. Fang Yuan then moved his soul into the immortal zombie body. At the next moment, the immortal zombie body opened its eyes and slowly stood up. Fang Yuan gazed at his 8 huge arms and stretched his whole body. I can finally use my body again. Fang Yuan's feelings were somewhat nostalgic at this moment, as if he had returned home after a long journey. Fang Yuan softly rubbed his stomach. Only a rank 5 aperture remained there. The previous rank 6 strength path dead aperture had already crumbled, and the strength path Dao marks had moved into Fang Yuan's physical body. From this perspective, Fang Yuan's strength path immortal zombie was a genuine rank 6 strength path immortal material. The rank 6 strength path dead aperture was the aperture Fang Yuan gained after using second aperture GU, raising it to an immortal aperture. The rank 5 peak stage aperture was his original aperture. Spring Autumn Cicada was still firmly sealed inside this aperture. The purple crystal walls of the aperture were already filled with cracks. After all, Spring Autumn Cicada was a rank 6 immortal GU which put huge pressure on the mortal aperture. However, Fang Yuan was not worried about the aperture walls shattering under the pressure. He could already deal with it before, and he could do it even better now that he had Shadow Sect's inheritances. Fang Yuan absolutely would not give up Spring Autumn Cicada. However, Spring Autumn Cicada was filled with Heaven's Will currently. Fang Yuan would have to get rid of all the Heaven's Will in it to use it. Obtaining a pure rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada was far from Fang Yuan's target. Fang Yuan's next plan was to use this foundation to refine rank 7 Spring Autumn Cicada. But before refining rank 7 Spring Autumn Cicada, I should first advance this body to rank 6. Rank 6 Time Path GU Immortal, this had been Fang Yuan's initial plan. Fang Yuan did not intend to give up on this plan. After the successful attempt, Fang Yuan's soul moved out and returned to his sovereign immortal body. As for this immortal zombie body, it was still suppressed in the GU formation. After all, Spring Autumn Cicada contained Heaven's Will, Fang Yuan had to be prepared just in case. Let's test Wisdom GU. When he thought of this, Fang Yuan actually felt a trace of impatient eagerness. He came out of the secret room and directly flew towards Wisdom GU. Ever since Hu Immortal Blessed Land had been attacked and captured by Heavenly Court, Wisdom GU had been transported to Langya Blessed Land by Hairy Man GU Immortals using some secret method. From then on, it had been fed and raised by Langya Land Spirit and had not been transferred to other places. Fang Yuan soon went in front of Wisdom GU. This movement naturally attracted Langya Land Spirit's attention. Langya Land Spirit's expression was somewhat strange. Fang Yuan, someone has framed you. What do you mean? Hee, Yun Liang is dead. There was a crucial clue left behind in the battlefield which directly points to you as the killer. Moreover, your Lu Guanyi identity was also completely exposed. Now, the whole of Northern Plains GU Immortal World, no, the GU Immortal World of all 5 regions, is shaken because of this news. Langya Land Spirit laughed. Although Fang Yuan needed to use a rank 7 GU Immortal soul to get rid of the soul path trap, he already had such souls in his possession. Not only of Yi Lui Qun Xing, he also had souls of Fairy Kui Bo, Lu Tribes Lu Yong, Ma Hong Yun's soul, and even the whole living body of He Chang. Previously, Sixth Hair had been worried that Fang Yuan wanted to go to Northern Plains to kill a GU Immortal. Fang Yuan had replied that it was under control. He naturally would not take such risks, he already had GU Immortal souls which could be used for this purpose. What Fang Yuan wanted to do was to rest, striving for time while he strengthened himself. He did not want to go fight outside. After Fang Yuan inquired about the details, he soon realized, this is probably Heavenly Court's doing. Young Liang is a lone immortal, but Longevity Heaven actually agreed to his and Marong Qing's marriage, and even showed a trace of joy in seeing it happen. This is Longevity Heaven's preparation to face the coming great era. But how could Heavenly Court allow it? They naturally would try to wreck this plan. Fang Yuan, your analysis is logical. Lang Yalan's spirit nodded, shortly smiling strangely. Now, Longevity Heaven is extremely furious, and the newly appointed South Desolation Immortal Yao Huang has even declared he will capture you and bring you to justice. You are currently not only a sworn enemy of Northern Plains' righteous path, even demonic path and lone immortals are hostile towards you. Fang Yuan grunted in acknowledgement. This was understandable. In the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan had offended Northern Plains' righteous path, as well as old ancestor Shuihu, who represented the demonic path. Young Liang was a symbol of Northern Plains' lone immortals, and Fang Yuan, who was proclaimed to be his killer, would naturally suffer hostility from this faction. Alright, forget this, make a move quickly, let me see if you can summon the light of wisdom or not. Lang Yalan's spirit urged impatiently. Okay, I am also looking forward to this. Fang Yuan took a deep breath. The probability of success was high. If it succeeded, he would grow at an immense rate. Chapter 1447, Regaining What He Lost. Fang Yuan sat cross-legged on the ground and brought out the 8-armed immortal zombie body from his immortal aperture. Then, under Lang Yalan's spirit's gaze, he moved out his soul and entered this immortal zombie body. The immortal zombie body slowly opened its eyes and stood up. Fang Yuan took a glance at the sovereign immortal body before turning towards Wisdom Gu. Wisdom Gu, he spoke in his hoarse and unpleasant voice, do you still remember our agreement? Wisdom Gu had been playing around, but when it heard these words, it immediately stopped and floated in the air, quietly looking at Fang Yuan. Time slowly passed. Fang Yuan could not help but hold his breath. Even though the immortal zombie did not need to breathe. Wisdom Gu seemed to be unconvinced as it began circling around Fang Yuan. It circled again and again while continuously observing Fang Yuan. After a while, it stopped and rested on a huge tree leaf. Then, a multicolored light which became increasingly bigger began to gradually spread from Wisdom Gu's body. The light of wisdom, success. I finally succeeded. Fang Yuan could not hold back his laughter. Lang Yalan's spirit, who was at the side, was dumbstruck. This was the first time he was seeing this sight. Light of wisdom, this is truly the light of wisdom. Lang Yalan's spirit walked to the light of wisdom, immediately sensing his thoughts becoming extremely sharp. For an instant, he became extremely intelligent. But he cautiously retreated out of the light of wisdom's range, then enviously looked at Fang Yuan, who was inside the light. Fang Yuan actually succeeded in summoning the light of wisdom. Amazing, this kid is truly amazing. After the shock, Lang Yalan's spirit looked at Fang Yuan with a complex expression. He was in a daze. Although there were two land spirits, they both shared the same memories. Lang Yalan's spirit still remembered that time several years ago, when Fang Yuan was still only a Gu master, a trivial mortal who came to Lang Ya blessed land for the first time. But in these few years, Fang Yuan had not only become a Gu immortal, his name was now infamous throughout the 5 regions, and he had the strength to battle rank 8. And now, he could summon the light of wisdom and even use it. His growth had skyrocketed, he had truly burst into the sky. If Fang Yuan had not inherited the Shadow Sect inheritances, and only obtained the light of wisdom, he could only be considered a tiger with wings at most. But Fang Yuan possessed Shadow Sect's inheritances. As such, the help that the light of wisdom could give Fang Yuan reached an unimaginable level. Lang Yalan's spirit had gone through countless years and had seen all kinds of characters, but now, he could no longer estimate Fang Yuan's growth. There was no way to estimate it. He absolutely could not predict Fang Yuan's following cultivation and progress. Any accomplishments Fang Yuan made in the future would be understandable and acceptable now. Fang Yuan soon restrained his laughter. He calmed down, and spoke to Wisdom Gu. Alright, Wisdom Gu, please stop, let me take a break. The light of wisdom slowly shrunk and disappeared. Fang Yuan took a deep breath before saying, Wisdom Gu, let us continue. At the next moment, the light of wisdom spread once again. Fang Yuan clenched his fists tightly. He was extremely excited. This fact completely proved that the light of wisdom was back once again. From now on, barring any accidents, he could continue using light of wisdom till eternity. Fang Yuan then turned around and smiled towards Lang Yalan's spirit. First Supreme Elder, let us exchange inheritances. Lang Yalan's spirit inwardly praised. Fang Yuan's mind is still so clear. Okay, He agreed, not hesitating even a little. If it were the previous Langya land spirit, he might have refused because he only liked refining Gu. But the current Langya land spirit wanted hairy men to rule the world, so he issued ironclad policies, actively promoting talents, and doing everything to turn Langya sect into a powerful sect. And such a sect naturally had to be widely involved in many paths. It would not do to just have refinement path. After all, refinement path's battle strength was lacking compared to other paths. So Langya land spirit was extremely desirous of the many inheritances in Fang Yuan's possession. Especially spectral soul's true inheritance. Back then, spectral soul demon Venerable slaughtered countless beings. He was the Venerable with the deepest killing nature. His soul path true inheritance naturally had absolute power. If Langya sect obtained it, it would fill the sect's deficiency. Both sides soon completed the exchange. Fang Yuan obtained almost all the inheritances of Langya sect, which included the complete self-luck true inheritance and long hair ancestors refinement path true inheritance. And Langya land spirit obtained spectral soul's true inheritance, limitless true inheritance, red lotus, true inheritance, paradise earth's true inheritance, as well as countless other true inheritances. The inheritances that Shadow sect bothered to collect were naturally beyond outstanding. Thus, based on value, Fang Yuan had paid more than Langya sect. To make up for this discrepancy, Langya land spirit handed Luokou Valley to Fang Yuan once again. Currently, Fang Yuan was a public enemy of the whole world. Adding on his previous acts, Langya land spirit's trust in him increased by a lot. Fang Yuan is one of us. Anyway, my sect's members can still use Luokou Valley even if I give it to him. This was Langya land spirit's secret calculation. And to Fang Yuan, he had already obtained a portion of the essence of self-luck true inheritance, one of the three great true inheritances of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Now, he had obtained its complete essence. Long hair ancestors refinement path true inheritance mostly talked of the hairy man heaven and earth style refinement path method, which was not very helpful to Fang Yuan directly. In this transaction, both sides bought and sold inheritances. It did not involve any immortal Gu. Naturally, Fang Yuan really wanted to take some immortal Gu in Langya sect. For instance, Heavenly Essence Treasure Imperial Lotus. Unfortunately, Langya land spirit was strict about not selling these immortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not leave immediately, instead he continued bathing in the light of wisdom and began thinking of all sorts of issues. Langya land spirit left in sadness at this sight. Obtaining the help of the light of wisdom once again, Fang Yuan was no longer the same as before. All kinds of wisdom path methods activated in coordination, causing his thoughts to collide endlessly. The Immortal Killer move which used affection Immortal Gu and self-love Immortal Gu allowed Fang Yuan to possess Immortal level self-will Gu, giving him an endless supply of wills. In this way, the light of wisdom could unleash its mystical effects to its limit, and soon, Fang Yuan obtained a satisfying answer. Immortal Killer move, Ghost Official Garment. This was a set of Immortal Killer move in Spectral Soul True Inheritance. Its effect was to defend against Heaven's Will and other Gu Immortals' deductions. It was a defensive killer move. It was classified into 4 levels, corresponding to rank 6, rank 7, rank 8 and rank 9. With the original foundation, Fang Yuan modified this Immortal Killer move so that even without the core Immortal Gu, he could use other Immortal Gu as the replacement. Chapter 1448. Ghost Official Garment. The modified Immortal Killer move, Ghost Official Garment, used rank 7 Change Soul Immortal Gu and rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal Gu as the cores. After several failures, Fang Yuan succeeded in activating it. He directly moved out his soul from his sovereign immortal body. His soul floated in the air, it was not very condensed. His soul foundation had been expended several times because of burning soul bursting luck, and was now only at 100-man soul level. The difference was that his soul was now covered in a broad garment, with long sleeves and a lower hem that was dragging on the ground. This was the manifestation of the killer move Ghost Official Garment. Its general term was Ghost Official Garment, but if it was subdivided, rank 6 level Ghost Official Garment was called Ghost Soldier Garment, rank 7 was Ghost General Garment, rank 8 was Ghost King Garment, and rank 9 was Ghost Venerable Garment. At rank 9 level, it could defend against rank 9 Venerable's deductions. Naturally, this was only in theory. Even Spectral Soul Demon Venerable had not raised this killer move to rank 9 in the past. Because he did not need to. He was a Grand Demon Venerable when alive, slaughtering countless beings. He simply did not need to defend against deductions. As such, the highest level of his Ghost Official Garment was only rank 8. Fang Yuan's soul inspected it and was puzzled. Why is it only rank 6 Ghost Soldier Garment? After he modified the killer move, The core was replaced by rank 7 Change Soul and rank 6 Cleanse Soul. That meant this was a rank 7 killer move. Why was it Ghost Soldier Garment instead of Ghost General Garment? Is it because of my modification? This guess had just appeared in Fang Yuan's mind before he denied it. He had used the light of wisdom to modify it. How could it be wrong? Oh, I understand. Fang Yuan thought for a moment before he realized. The answer was in his body. Beneath Ghost Official Garment was another layer of clothing. If Ghost Soldier Garment was said to be made of hemp and was a shoddy product, then this inner garment was like silk. It was extremely compact, giving an exquisite and smooth feeling. This clothing of Dao marks was the rank 9 Immortal killer move Ghostly Concealment. Just based on their ranks, Ghost Soldier Garment could never compare to it. The original Ghost Official Garment was meant to directly attach to my soul. But now, it has been separated by a layer, thus it fell from rank 7 to rank 6. Fang Yuan had never expected such a problem. He had all along been enjoying the advantage of non-conflicting Dao marks of the sovereign immortal body. He had never expected to stumble slightly on this matter. There is no conflict of Dao marks in my sovereign immortal body. But there is still a conflict between killer moves of different paths. Ghostly Concealment has ghost in its name, but it is a theft path killer move, while Ghost Official Garment is a soul path killer move. The two conflict with each other. To solve this issue, the most fundamental method is to combine both into one move. Fang Yuan bitterly smiled when he thought this. The difficulty was too big. Fang Yuan had no understanding of ghostly concealment. Moreover, he lacked attainment in theft path and soul path. Even with the light of wisdom to help him deduce, the progress would be extremely slow. According to the current conditions, he would have to keep on deducing for hundreds to thousands of years without rest, and even then he might not deduce a successful outcome. After all, it was a rank 9 killer move, and to Fang Yuan, rank 9 was far away. Despite him possessing rank 8 battle strength, he was not even a rank 8 GU immortal. Then let's do this. Fang Yuan put his soul back in his body. He did not intend to further improve his method. He had obtained all the inheritances of Shadow Sect, and just earlier, he had exchanged them with almost all the inheritances of Langya Sect. It was only, almost, there were some crucial contents which both sides did not exchange. This applied to both Langya Sect and Fang Yuan. Even so, the near-complete collection of inheritances in Langya Sect had reached an enormous amount, only slightly inferior to Shadow Sect's collection. After all, Long Hair Ancestor was from the medieval antiquity era. He had lived 300,000 years ago. Langya Blessed Land had also existed for 300,000 years. Based on just time alone, Langya Sect was much older than Shadow Sect. But the inheritances in Langya Sect were basically all related to Refinement Path. Even inheritances of other paths mostly touched upon Refinement Path. Moreover, Langya Sect's collection ability definitely could not match Spectral Soul Demon Venerable and Shadow Sect. Fang Yuan was able to get both the collections for his own use. Just based on inheritances, he had already surpassed any one ancient sect of Central Continent. 2 or 3 ancient sects would have to collaborate to match the amount of inheritances he had. As for Heavenly Court, Fang Yuan could not compare to them. Heavenly Court had been governed by 3 immortal venerables, and its history was extremely long. It was established 3 million years ago, in the remote antiquity era. Combining the inheritances Fang Yuan held currently, Ghost Official Garment was the most suitable to him and also had the highest growth potential. In the future, it would be the most useful immortal killer move that could defend against others' deductions as well as deceive Heaven's will. It could be said that Ghost Official Garment killer move was a key part of Spectral Soul's true inheritance. It was very special. Once activated, it could last forever. It did not spend immortal essence, instead it expended the GU Immortal's soul foundation to maintain itself. Theoretically, as long as the GU Immortal's soul existed, and Ghost Official Garment was not directly attacked, it could last for eternity. Precisely because it was linked to a GU Immortal's soul foundation, it had another huge advantage. Its might would change according to the GU Immortal's soul foundation. When the GU Immortal's soul foundation increased, Ghost Official Garment's might would also increase. And similarly, if the soul foundation fell, Ghost Official Garment would also weaken. Previously, I used Dark Limit Immortal GU, and had to reactivate it after every set interval of time to replenish its effect. It was really inconvenient, especially when escaping. But Ghost Official Garment can last forever with just one activation, and its strength grows with my soul foundation. This was a practical immortal killer move. In fact, there were other soul path killer moves that could be used together with it. For instance, the killer moves Soul Shaking Flag and Soul Shackle. These 2 moves could be used with Ghost Soldier Garment, once activated, when Fang Yuan's soul leaves his body, not only would it be covered with the ghost garment, it would also have weapons, the soul-shaking flag in its right hand and soul shackles in his left hand. With this, even Fang Yuan's soul would possess offensive prowess. This was also an important characteristic of spectral soul's true inheritance, to allow a person's soul to possess powerful battle strength. However, Fang Yuan only chose Ghost Official Garment, and did not choose Soul-Shaking Flag or Soul Shackle. After testing the effect of Ghost Official Garment, Fang Yuan continued to bathe in the light of wisdom. Borrowing the help of the light of wisdom, he began to ponder over his current situation. With Ghost Official Garment and Langya Blessed Land, I am currently safe. Even if Heavenly Court attacks, I can rely on my own strength to escape. But what I need to do is to completely destroy Heavenly Court's Fate Immortal GU. 10 years. After 10 years, Heavenly Court will have definitely restored Fate, by then I probably would have no hope of winning. This was the most troubling issue Fang Yuan was facing. Heavenly Court had terrifying strength, let alone attacking Heavenly Court, it was extremely dangerous for Fang Yuan to even enter Central Continent. Heavenly Court only needed to send out 1 or 2 rank 8 GU immortals to make Fang Yuan's situation miserable. Even by relying on the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan was unable to think of how to resolve this greatest issue. Fortunately, I still have Red Lotus, true inheritances. Red Lotus Demon Venerable had damaged Fate GU back then and left behind his true inheritances. With Spring Autumn Cicada, the crucial key, in my hand, I have a huge possibility of obtaining his true inheritances. Fang Yuan had used Red Lotus, true inheritance to kill a Heavenly Court rank 8 time path GU immortal, Lord Huangshi. So perhaps he could use other true inheritances of Red Lotus to find hope of destroying Fate Immortal GU. Relying on Fate GU, Heavenly Court stood unshaken to this day. Relying on Fate GU and Star Constellation's arrangements, Heavenly Court had resisted 3 Demon Venerables. Relying on Fate GU, Heavenly Court had all along occupied the throne of the number 1 GU immortal force in the whole world. There was no doubt that destroying Fate Immortal GU was the key to defeating Heavenly Court. If Fang Yuan did not destroy Fate, after 10 years, it would be time for Heavenly Court to take Fang Yuan's life. Fang Yuan had inherited Shadow Sect's legacy, and had a profound awareness of this point. But now is not a good time to go after the true inheritances of Red Lotus. Heavenly Court has slipped up once, but they have obtained a huge amount of precious information. Next time, they will utilize much more strength and even more rank 8 GU immortals. I can only continue to develop first and raise my battle strength before I go to inherit Red Lotus, true inheritances, only then will I have some hope of destroying Fate GU. There was no doubt about this general plan. Fang Yuan currently lacked Immortal Essence, while his Immortal Essence stone storage was also almost empty. Reverse Flow Protection Seal was already being targeted. In the previous battle, Feng Juji's Sound Path Killer move had already begun to penetrate Reverse Flow Protection Seal and affected Fang Yuan's main body. During the battle inside the River of Time, he had barely been able to kill Lord Huangshi after using the strength of a Stone Lotus Island. Now, Fang Yuan had Spectral Soul's true inheritance along with countless inheritances. He also had Danghun Mountain, Luopo Valley and the Light of Wisdom. In this situation, if he did not develop and strengthen himself, running around and causing trouble instead, he would truly be asking for death. Chapter 1449. Borrowing Immortal Essence Stones. A flat and boundless plain was in her sight. Zhao Lianyun's divine sense continued to spread before finally covering the whole blessed land. She had succeeded in her immortal ascension not long ago and became a Wisdom Path rank 6 GU immortal of Spirit Affinity House, forming this blessed land. Lianyun Blessed Land. It had a total of 5,700 square kilometers of land, a large tributary of the River of Time, with time flowing 33 times faster than the outside world, which meant the immortal aperture would produce over 30 green grape immortal essence every year. Half grassland and half plain. Zhao Lianyun mumbled. The Blessed Land's topography was closely connected to the GU Immortal's specific situation. The grassland topography might be because Zhao Lianyun's heart was connected to northern plains, having spent most of her time there since her transmigration. As for the plain, it might be because she had inherited Central Continent's customs. Even without any cultivation and plantation, the grassland was already filled with green grass. While the plain had fertile land and water, with some cultivation, it could produce plenty of products. Besides the Blessed Land, there was also Immortal GU. Rank 9 Love Immortal GU went without saying, but because of her immortal ascension with a high-grade Blessed Land, Zhao Lianyun had obtained her second Immortal GU, Remembrance. This was a Wisdom Path Immortal GU. Its appearance was like a flying ant, and had astonishing flying speed. Its whole body was silver, and when it was still, it emitted an illusory white halo. Hong Yun, do you know that I am now no longer immortal, I have become a Gu immortal. Zhao Lianyun retracted her divine sense and slowly opened her eyes, looking at the outside world. She sighed lightly. After becoming an immortal, she did feel joy, but even more than that, she felt empty and lonely. In the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Ma Hongyun might have been killed by Fang Yuan, but his soul still existed. This was not random speculation by Zhao Lianyun, but had been deduced by a wisdom path Gu immortal of Spirit Affinity House, Shu Hao. Zhao Lianyun chose to believe him, and thus this became her motivation and hope for putting forth effort in cultivation. Thinking of a trace of hope to revive Ma Hongyun, Zhao Lianyun restrained her feelings and stood up, leaving this closed secret room. Today was an important day. Zhao Lianyun walked past a corridor. Li Junying had been waiting for her at the end of the corridor. Greetings to Sister Junying. Zhao Lianyun immediately bowed in greeting. Li Junying smiled. Sister Lianyun, no need to be so polite, let's go, I will accompany you to Secret Inheritance Peak. Secret Inheritance Peak was a place where Spirit Affinity House's Gu immortals often set foot in. Zhao Lianyun was going there for the first time. Sure enough, the peak was extraordinary. It was floating in the air, surrounded by vast emptiness. It seemed to be close but was actually far away. The aura on the mountain was thick and condensed. A high-level immortal Gu formation was set up in it. The one in charge of this peak was a supreme elder of the neutral faction. Her name was Fairy Lu Fang. In this trip, Zhao Lianyun did not see Fairy Lu Fang herself, but was welcomed by a will left behind by her. Zhao Lianyun did not think anything of it, but Li Junying frowned slightly. According to convention, Zhao Lianyun, who was the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House, would be heavily nurtured by the sect, and in this first visit to Secret Inheritance Peak to receive financial assistance from the sect, she should have been personally welcomed by the Secret Inheritance Peak master. But Fairy Lu Fang did not follow this convention. Junior Lianyun pays respects to Senior Lu Fang. Zhao Lianyun bowed to Lu Fang's will. No need to be so courteous, you are the current generation fairy of the sect. Please take a look at this Gu. Lu Fang's will smiled. Her attitude was extremely polite as she handed an information path mortal Gu to Zhao Lianyun. Zhao Lianyun looked through the contents in the Gu. There was a long list of wonderful items inside which dazzled her eyes for a moment. I do not know much, Sister Junying, could you please check for me? Zhao Lianyun was a smart person. She quickly handed this Gu to Li Junying. Li Junying looked through the list, and nodded slightly. There was no reduction in items listed in this information path mortal Gu, it was the real deal. She transmitted her voice to Zhao Lianyun. Lianyun, since you have become a Gu immortal, and have immortal Gu love and remembrance, as well as a high-grade blessed land, your starting point is already extremely high. You now need to manage your immortal aperture and increase your foundation. The first task is to feed immortal Gu. Fortunately, even though your love immortal Gu is rank 9, it does not have any issue regarding its food. So, what you need to consider now is remembrance immortal Gu. This Gu feeds on bright eye flowers, and in this list of benefits, there is a method to raise bright eye flowers, you should choose it. Zhao Lianyun continued to nod as she transmitted her voice. You are right, sister. Then what about the other two choices? There were extraordinary benefits in being the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. According to the sect rules, once the current generation fairy's cultivation makes a breakthrough, she can choose 3 resources free of charge from Secret Inheritance Peak. While other Gu immortals, besides the ones who have made huge contributions, could only use their sect contribution points to exchange for these resources. Li Junying smiled and said, besides this, I recommend you to choose Clear Chance Grass. Since you are a Wisdom Path Gu immortal, you will have to manage your immortal aperture from the Wisdom Path aspect. Clear Chance Grass is a Wisdom Path resource, and its nurturing is also rather easy. Moreover, it fetches a high price in Treasure Yellow Heaven. You won't make a loss if you choose this. Then I shall choose it, sister, your choice won't be wrong. Zhao Lianyun quickly said. Li Junying was greatly pleased with Zhao Lianyun's attitude, her tone becoming warmer by several degrees. Then what should I pick for the final choice? Zhao Lianyun asked. Naturally the first item, Immortal Essence Stones. Right, Li Junying could not help chuckling at Zhao Lianyun's puzzled look. Whether it be Bright Eye Flowers or Clear Chance Grass, the amount provided by the sect won't be enough for you to plant them on a large scale. If these resources are not planted on a large scale, they will lose their significance. So, you need a large amount of immortal essence stones to purchase their seeds and plant them. Immortal essence stones are an important resource which GU immortals must have reserves of. Because they are not only the most common currency in transactions of GU immortals, they also have value in being turned into immortal essence for your own use. I see. Then I shall choose immortal essence stones. Without any hesitation, Zhao Lianyun quickly exchanged for the 3 items from Lu Fang's will. The 2 left Secret Inheritance Peak and flew outside. Before they parted, Li Junying gave a sum of immortal essence stones to Zhao Lianyun. Sister Lianyun, Shu Hao and I are lending you these 3,000 immortal essence stones. Feel free to use them as much as you like, because there is no time limit for this loan. Ah, Zhao Lianyun softly exclaimed, revealing a moved expression. The sect only gave me 1,000 immortal essence stones, but sister, you are directly giving me 3,000, how should I use it? Li Junying patted Zhao Lianyun's shoulder. Silly girl, the sect has already given you a lot. You have the sect's support. You should know those lone cultivators and demonic immortals have to fight for even a piece of immortal essence stone. Speaking of immortal essence stone storage, a newly ascended rank 6 GU immortal is almost completely broke. Those with 100 immortal essence stones are already in the mid-level of rank 6. Having 1,000 immortal essence stones is very rare among rank 6 GU immortals. Your situation is different, because you are not only a GU immortal from one of the central continent's 10 great ancient sects, you are also the current generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House. You will be heavily prioritized by the sect, thus you are an exception. In normal situations in the 5 regions and 2 heavens, most rank 6 GU immortals don't have more than 100 immortal essence stones, few have several hundred, and very few have 1,000 immortal essence stones. And among rank 7 GU immortals, they have at least several hundred immortal essence stones, most have over 1,000, and very few have several tens of thousand immortal essence stones. This is just common knowledge, you can simply remember it. Many thanks for your guidance, sister. Zhao Lianyun gave a deep bow with a grateful look. Li Junying's words were telling her that the sect did not mistreat her, and that she and her husband were also actively supporting her. I will definitely work hard. Zhao Lianyun said solemnly. Li Junying nodded. Go cultivate, if you have any doubts, don't hesitate to write me a letter, you can also ask Shu Hao. Yes, joy flashed past Zhao Lianyun's eyes, having someone for guidance and learning by oneself were naturally 2 different concepts. Looking at Zhao Lianyun's receding figure, Li Junying's smile slowly disappeared. Ever since Feng Jinhuang was taken under Duke Long, her life had become increasingly difficult. She and her husband Shu Hao were of the famous anti-Feng faction. But now, the supreme elders of Spirit Affinity House knew that Feng Jinhuang was an immortal venerable seed with infinite future prospects. Fairy Lu Fang's attitude this time clearly showed the political direction of Spirit Affinity House. Li Junying had also expected this and had thus accompanied Zhao Lianyun to prevent anyone from reducing Zhao Lianyun's sect benefits. Fortunately, that did not happen. It could be foreseen that this couple would have to face some political cold shoulders next. And in this coldness, they could only unite anyone they could, for instance Zhao Lianyun, and then huddle together for warmth. Northern Plains, Chu Tribe. The famous Strength Path GU immortal Chu Du put down an information path GU worm in his hand. Fang Yuan, it is really not easy to be your friend. Chu Du gave a bitter smile. This letter GU was sent by Fang Yuan, he was asking for immortal essence stones. Fang Yuan had once cooperated with Chu Du using the alias of Lu Guanyi, and their relationship had not been shallow. Not long ago, Heavenly Court assassinated GU immortal Yun Liang, destroying Longevity Heaven's plan as well as publicizing the secret that Fang Yuan and Lu Guanyi were the same person, while incriminating the crime on Fang Yuan. Hence, Chu Du already knew Lu Guanyi was Fang Yuan. But Chu Du was not too surprised, in fact, he had once had suspicions regarding this, and had even sang a poem to test Fang Yuan. Whether it be Lu Guanyi or Fang Yuan, Chu Du wanted to collaborate with both. However, the current Chu Du's identity was different from before. He was now the first supreme elder of Chu tribe, he had a lot of GU immortals under him, and was a member of the Righteous Path. As a Northern Plains Righteous Path GU immortal, if he continued to collaborate with Fang Yuan, the moment it was exposed, all his previous effort in creating his force would turn into naught. Collaborating with Fang Yuan was extremely risky. Chu Du had planned to ignore it at first and maintain a vague attitude, but Fang Yuan did not give him this opportunity and directly sent a letter asking for immortal essence stones. And in this letter, Fang Yuan only mentioned of borrowing immortal essence stones, he intentionally did not mention the specific amount, the meaning was for Chu Du to decide how much to lend. This made Chu Du feel even more troubled. As expected of someone like Fang Yuan. Chu Du sighed. Chapter 1450. 1,730,000. Oh, Chu Du is lending me 150,000 immortal essence stones. Fang Yuan soon received Chu Du's reply. Moreover, the amount Chu Du was lending had slightly surpassed Fang Yuan's expectation. In Chu Du's reply letter, he had written in euphemistic words. He talked about their pleasant past collaboration, then talked of how unexpected events and circumstances in life toyed with people and how their camps differed, which created an awkward situation. Moreover, lending 150,000 immortal essence stones was already his limit, and the time for returning it could be determined by Fang Yuan himself. Looks like Chu Du still wants to continue collaborating with me. Reckless Savage's true meaning is tempting after all. This reply immediately let Fang Yuan know of Chu Du's attitude and intention. Chu Du was originally born a lone cultivator, later he went against Lu tribe and was accused of being in the demonic path. Now, he had established Chu tribe and was in the righteous path. But by nature, he still prioritized his own benefits. So despite the high risks of collaborating with Fang Yuan, due to the huge profits, Chu Du did not hesitate to take the risk, not only lending 150,000 immortal essence stones, but also personally writing a reply letter. This letter Gu might only be immortal Gu, but its significance was not ordinary. If Fang Yuan took it out, it would be strong proof that Chu Du was collaborating with the demonic path. But this was done intentionally by Chu Du. He used this method to give Fang Yuan a hold on him, to express his sincerity in collaborating. And Fang Yuan felt this sincerity fully. I can continue to collaborate with Chu Du. Of course, the calamity beckoning Gu I lent him before is also a strong foundation of collaboration between us. Fang Yuan was rather pleased. 150,000 immortal essence stones was already a high amount. Normally, a rank 6 Gu immortal would have at most 1,000 immortal essence stones as reserve. Rank 7 Gu immortals would have roughly 10,000. Most rank 7 Gu immortals usually had several thousands of immortal essence stones as their reserve. And at rank 8 level, having several tens of thousands in reserve was the minimum. They would often have over 100,000, and those senior rank 8s would even have 1,000,000. As for rank 9, their immortal essence stones would reach 10 million, or even 100 million. Of course, it depended on the Gu immortal's individual circumstances. As far as organizations were concerned, an ordinary super force would have around 1,000,000 immortal essence stones in reserve. Wu clan had such reserves, which is why in the Battle of the Dream Realm, Wu Yong did not hesitate to lend Fang Yuan 100,000 immortal essence stones. This was within the capability of Wu clan. Of course, Wu clan could lend much more, but Wu Yong thought this amount was enough for Fang Yuan to stabilize the immortal formation. And Chu tribe was a recently established super force, although they had many Gu immortals, most of them were of strength path and had few assets to themselves. According to Fang Yuan's estimate, it was good if Chu tribe had 600,000 immortal essence stones in reserve. And Chu Du had lent 150,000 from this reserve of 600,000 immortal essence stones, and with no time limit to return it. His sincerity was truly high. There was no doubt that immortal essence stones was also a factor to weigh a Gu immortals in a force's strength. But it was not that the more money you saved, the better. Just piling up money without making use of it was like collecting dust. Storage of immortal essence stones followed the same logic. With Chu Du's support, Fang Yuan's originally emptied immortal essence stone storage jumped to 150,000. But Fang Yuan was not satisfied. He continued to patiently wait for replies. He had not only sent the letter to Chu Du, but also sent them to the 3 eccentrics of Crazed Demon Cave, as well as Miao Ming Shen of Eastern Sea, asking for immortal essence stones. The request for immortal essence stones was only one objective. Fang Yuan had another goal as well, it was to know their attitudes. Especially in this sensitive time when his Lu Guanyi identity was exposed. The replies of the 3 Crazed Demon eccentrics and Miao Ming Shen came almost at the same time. Both sides agreed to Fang Yuan's request, each lending a sum of immortal essence stones. The former gave 200,000 immortal essence stones, while the latter gave 100,000. The 3 Crazed Demon eccentrics' attitude towards Fang Yuan had gotten even more warm than before, with no issues regarding Fang Yuan's true identity. As far as these 3 were concerned, they did not care about the fight between the righteous path or demonic path. From their perspective, there was only limitless, true inheritance. They would acknowledge anyone that could help them achieve this desire. And the stronger Fang Yuan became, the higher their acknowledgement of him. As for Miao Ming Shen, he had a pleasant interaction with Fang Yuan's other identity, Chu Ying. In the trading convention, Fang Yuan had taken the initiative to sell lifespan GU to Miao Mingshen. This sharply elevated Fang Yuan's status to Miao Mingshen. Therefore, Miao Mingshen had specially written in the letter, his funds were quite tight recently, 100,000 was his current limit, but if it was not enough, he could borrow from his friends to aid Fang Yuan. Like this, Fang Yuan got 3 batches of Immortal Essence Stones, the total amount reaching 450,000. Whether it be his previous life or currently, he had never possessed such an enormous sum of Immortal Essence Stones. However, Fang Yuan did not stop borrowing. He then discussed with Langya Land Spirit and borrowed a sum of Immortal Essence Stones, and also used his sect contribution points to exchange for another sum until it reached Langya Land Spirit's bottom line. I cannot exchange any more. Although you have a lot of sect contribution points, the sect also needs to have some in reserve to prepare for any unexpected situations. Langya Land Spirit firmly refused. In these recent few years, because of his development plan for the Blessed Land, the rich foundation was being constantly expended. Adding on the previous time when Fang Yuan used large amounts of sect contribution points to exchange for immortal materials as well as make Langya sect refine immortal GU, Langya sect's foundation was further expended sharply. When Langya Land Spirit refused Fang Yuan, Langya sect had no more than 300,000 Immortal Essence Stones left in reserve. Fang Yuan then asked Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing had inherited Bai Shang Grotto Heaven, it should have had a huge Immortal Essence Stone reserve. Among the Shadow Sect GU Immortals, Bai Ningbing was the richest. He Lu Lan was the poorest, and Ying Wuxie was similar, although he had possessed Fairy Kui Bo's body, her immortal aperture and resources were all taken by Bai Ningbing as battle spoils. After Lady White Rabbit and Fairy Miao Yin heard of Fang Yuan's action, they took the initiative to lend some Immortal Essence Stones, although the amount was rather small. Among all the lenders, Lady White Rabbit's terms were the most lax. She had even said with a flushed face that it would not matter even if Fang Yuan did not return the Immortal Essence Stones. At second were Fairy Miao Yin and Chu Du, who did not put a limit on the time of return. The 3 crazed demon eccentrics wanted to make use of Fang Yuan, but their friendship was shallow after all, so they lent according to the market rate. Langya Land Spirit did the same. Among them, Miao Mingshen's time limit was the most lax. The harshest loan term was from Bai Ningbing. She mentioned a rather interesting condition: she could lend a large amount of Immortal Essence Stones to Fang Yuan, but the more Fang Yuan borrowed, the higher the interest and shorter the return time. Fang Yuan then borrowed most of her Immortal Essence Stones. After borrowing from here and there, Fang Yuan's Immortal Essence Stones had reached an astonishing amount of over 1,730,000. A huge sum. This reserve had already surpassed what Chu tribe, Langya sect, and most of the super forces could take out. Among GU Immortals, almost no rank 6 and rank 7 GU Immortals had such capital. Even among rank 8 GU Immortals, only few possessed such capital. They were usually long-time rank 8 experts with a reserve of more than 1 million Immortal Essence Stones. Naturally, this was purely comparing quantity. The truly healthy form of assets was to maintain balance between income and expenditure. Fang Yuan might be holding this huge sum, but it was not his, he had only borrowed it. In an instant, Fang Yuan was deep in debt. However, he was not nervous at all, he was fully confident he could use these Immortal Essence Stones to earn even more. Chapter 1451, Year GU Price War. A few days later. Central Continent, Spirit Affinity House. Zhao Lianyun spread her divine sense, inspecting her immortal aperture. Lianyun blessed land already looked different from before. A flower field was planted with a large amount of bright-eye flowers. This was the food of remembrance immortal GU, it had to be planted. Besides this, there was also a small grassland where clear chance grass was planted. Stalks of the grass was small and pointy, and were light green. Swallows were flying above this grassland. They were labor swallows, extremely hard-working and nimble birds. Their wings had 3 colors, in black, white and red. Zhao Lianyun had specially brought in a batch of them to kill any insects on the clear chance grass. When clear chance grass grew, it would produce a kind of pest that would corrode the grass leaves, greatly reducing the profits. I have already spent most of my Immortal Essence Stones. Zhao Lianyun sighed as she looked at the scene in front of her. At the beginning, she had felt the number of Immortal Essence Stones to be extremely huge, but when she started using it, she discovered that it was not much at all. Because she was not only nurturing 2 resources, she also had to create 2 complete ecological systems. Not only the seeds of bright-eye flowers and clear chance grass, she had to spend on soil, water, climate construction and so on as well. Bright-eye flowers can only satisfy the food requirement of Remembrance Immortal GU after a year in Immortal Aperture time. After 2 years, the clear chance grass and bright eye flower transactions could give me several hundreds of immortal essence stones. After 3 years, I can repay Li Junying's loan. This progress and profit can only be achieved under the most ideal situation. And I have yet to calculate my other cultivation expenses. Zhao Lianyun fully sensed that Gu immortal cultivation was not easy. She was only cultivating 2 resources, and both grew separately and did not disturb each other. At the same time, the difficulty of nurturing plants was much less than raising beast groups or variant humans. Moreover, Zhao Lianyun had a high-grade blessed land which had plenty of space path and time path resources. Most importantly, she was protected by divine concealment, and was exempted from calamities and tribulations. She did not need to worry about this huge issue. The number of labor swallows is somewhat small, they cannot look after the whole grassland. I should buy some more. Zhao Lianyun connected to Treasure Yellow Heaven and sent her divine sense. Over these days, she realized the convenience of Treasure Yellow Heaven. Guts Gu. Zhao Lianyun quickly discovered someone selling Guts Gu. She knew Guts Gu was produced by Fang Yuan alone, but because its supply did not match demand, it had all along been sold in the black market of Treasure Yellow Heaven. That is, someone would purchase a large amount of Guts Gu then sell them at a higher price. So the one selling this Guts Gu was not necessarily Fang Yuan. Moreover, the wills and identities of Gu immortals could be casually changed. Treasure Yellow Heaven gave safety and full freedom, so even Heavenly Court could only watch as Fang Yuan sold Guts Gu. Even if I can sell bright eye flowers and clear chance grass after a few years, there will be other competitors as well. My products will be influenced by the market. Their prices also won't be able to compare to Guts Gu. Fang Yuan was Zhao Lianyun's enemy, so she had been paying attention to the Guts Gu trade. But the more attention she paid, the more she realized Fang Yuan's strength, which inevitably caused her to feel depressed. According to my current accumulation speed, I simply won't be able to catch up with Fang Yuan. Instead I will continue to be left in the dust by him. Damn it, Zhao Lianyun gritted her teeth. Right at this time, for some reason, there was a huge uproar ahead. Large amounts of Gu immortal wills, which were originally scattered throughout Treasure Yellow Heaven, were gathering in that direction. Zhao Lianyun's heart jolted. Could it be a large transaction? Li Junying said large transactions that can cause such an uproar are rare in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Previously, it was when someone sold large amounts of year beasts. I did not expect my luck to be so good, to encounter one not long after becoming an immortal. Zhao Lianyun naturally did not want to give up on this chance to broaden her horizons. She also sent her divine sense to experience this event. Soon, she arrived at the scene. A Gu immortal will, which had an enormous physique looking like a fatty, was sitting cross-legged in air. Surrounding him were year Gu. A vast number of year Gu. So many year Gu. It looks like there are over 100,000. Zhao Lianyun got a shock. This was the first time she had seen so many year Gu piled up together. The huge quantity had quite a visual impact. Sister Li Junying was right, mortal Gu is only a matter of quantity to Gu immortals. Zhao Lianyun sighed inwardly. What price are you selling these year Gu for? A Gu immortals will inquire about the price. That fat will replied with a smile, quoting a fair price which immediately led to a discussion between the Gu immortals. If there are no issues with these year Gu, I definitely want to purchase some. This is time path mortal Gu, they have a wide range of uses and can be used in refinement path or other aspects. The price is also fair, maybe I should buy a bit more. Even if I don't use it for myself, I can resell it later. I don't have to worry about not being able to sell it. Who is this seller? Selling year Gu at this time is an extremely good decision. According to the usual routine, it is not yet the time for the biggest sellers of year Gu to bring out their products. Gu immortals discussed with each other. All kinds of divine senses and wills conversed together without maintaining secrecy, which allowed Zhao Lianyun to learn of a lot of things. She listened attentively and soon found this year Gu seller might be a newcomer in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Although the current time of sales was slightly early, it would still be hard for him to avoid colliding with the traditional sellers. It was still okay if this seller was only selling this one time, but if he wanted to run this business for a long time and squeeze into Treasure Yellow Heaven's market, it would definitely lead to bloodshed. Zhao Lianyun's eyes brightened at this thought. If it was the latter situation, then this would no doubt be an event to pay attention to and learn from. I will also be selling my resources in the future and will have to make my way into Treasure Yellow Heaven's market. My resources are not unique, so I will definitely have to go through this obstacle. There are only a few monopolistic businesses in the whole GU Immortal world, not everyone can have luck like Fang Yuan. I need to observe this properly, especially this year GU trade. I might learn a lot of things. Zhao Lianyun instructed herself. The scene was bustling, many GU Immortals started purchasing year GU. Time Path GU worms had a wide range of usage, so they always had a high demand in the market. After each transaction was completed, the profits quickly accumulated to an extent which caused some of the GU Immortals to become red with envy. Just by a rough estimation, this seller has at least profited 50,000 Immortal Essence Stones in this short period of time. Zhao Lianyun was inwardly shocked. But the real shocking thing came later. This seller was selling continuously, while also continuously replenishing the products. Many year GU were sold, but in the surroundings of the Fat Wheel, the quantity of year GU did not decrease and was instead increasing. Oh heavens, how many year GU does this man have? My goodness, this is a huge transaction. This person is here for blood. The main sellers of year GU have always been Xie Baoshu, Rongxin and Wang Mingyu. If this is not handled well, it will definitely lead to a price war. Zhao Lianyun felt increasing anticipation as she listened to the discussions. This mysterious seller was strongly putting his foot in the market, the three main sellers definitely would not take this lying down. A price war concerning year GU was going to start. Chapter 1452, Three Sellers. Eastern Sea, Clear Sea Area. A jade pavilion stood by itself in the depths of the sea, emitting aura of a rank 6 immortal GU house. Inside the jade pavilion, GU immortal Xie Baoshu was hosting his close friend, Yu Xianzi. Looking at the large patches of vicissitude trees outside the jade pavilion, Yu Xianzi said with a moved tone, "It is time to harvest year GU once again. The growth of these vicissitude trees is much more vigorous than the previous year. Looks like your method of growing these resources has made another breakthrough." Xie Baoshu was handsome and had a warm nature. He rubbed his nose, smiling, "You don't need to flatter me." Yu Xianzi laughed. "I am just worrying about you. Don't you know someone is already selling year GU in Treasure Yellow Heaven?" Xie Baoshu was silent as he took out Immortal year GU and handed it to Yu Xianzi. Yu Xianzi received it and took a glance. Good, this rank 5 year GU's quality is pretty good. It is glossy and healthy, it is quite appealing. Xie Baoshu slightly shook his head. "This year GU was not raised by me, it is from that seller." "I see." Yu Xianzi was slightly surprised, before quickly accepting this fact. He knew his friend very well. Xie Baoshu was a well-known lone cultivator in Eastern Sea's GU Immortal world. He had unique insights on growing vicissitude trees. Vicissitude trees were an immortal material, but their usage was very narrow. Despite being an immortal material, because they had many kinds of Dao marks, they were very impure. So few GU immortals paid attention to this tree. But Xie Baoshu found new ways of using them. He planted this tree on a large scale, and using an ingenious method, he used vicissitude trees to raise and attract wild year GU. Now, he was one of the 3 giants of the year GU market. He only put a small portion of these year GU in Treasure Yellow Heaven, the larger portion was sold to various super forces of Eastern Sea. Even so, Xie Baoshu would not easily give up Treasure Yellow Heaven's market. Because this was the whole world's market, and from a certain aspect, Treasure Yellow Heaven could be said to be much more significant than those Eastern Sea super forces. Now that someone was suddenly entering the year GU market, making huge transactions, how could Xie Baoshu just watch from the sidelines? Although it was still not time for him to sell year GU, he had always been paying attention to the situation of the year GU market. "I have examined this year GU, it is indeed a high-grade item. This time, the opponent is not a simple one." Xie Baoshu sighed. Yu Xianzi nodded. "With such a huge amount, some region's super force might be involved in this. It is very difficult for an individual to take out so many of them. Didn't you also climb up by accumulating your strength step by step?" Xie Baoshu smiled. "Oh Yu, why are you encouraging me in a roundabout way? Among the 3 sellers, only I am a lone cultivator. Because of this, I could only move step by step, facing setbacks along the way and getting past them to create a solid foundation. What difficulties have I not encountered? This time will also not be an exception. Moreover," Yu Xianzi finished his words, "moreover, you 3 have already reached an agreement. Every business has its own hidden rules. This newcomer might have come aggressively, but he has broken the hidden rules. He will probably be suppressed and forced out by you 3, right? Ha ha ha, I really cannot hide anything from you, you rat who specializes in stealing oil." Xie Baoshu jokingly scolded while pointing at Yu Xianzi's nose. Northern Plains, Langya Blessed Land. Cloud City, inside a secret room, Fang Yuan had been sitting cross-legged without moving for several days. These last days, he had been activating rank 8 time path Immortal GU years flow like water. He had obtained this Immortal GU from Hei Fan's true inheritance. Even rank 6 GU Immortals could activate it, but the effect would be limited. Now, Fang Yuan was continuously pouring his rank 7 red date Immortal essence into years flow like water, constantly producing Mortal Year GU. And these Year GU were then moved to Treasure Yellow Heaven's market. He let his will stabilize the situation and carry out Year GU transactions with other GU Immortals. Indeed, he was the newcomer who had been selling large amounts of Year GU. He was extremely aggressive, not only creating an uproar in Treasure Yellow Heaven, he even made Xie Baoshu and the others feel apprehension. Fang Yuan had borrowed over 1,730,000 Immortal Essence stones. He turned them into red date Immortal Essence, which he made full use of in the Year GU business. Rank 8 years flow like water was too amazing. It not only produced a lot of Mortal GU, their quality was also good. The market response had been extremely good these few days. After buying some, many GU Immortals felt that the goods were pretty good. They would find Fang Yuan to purchase another batch. Right at this time, Fang Yuan's activation of years flow like water paused for a moment. He had all along been maintaining his connection to Treasure Yellow Heaven, and had just received a message from his will, which he had placed in Treasure Yellow Heaven, that there was a super force which wanted to purchase Fang Yuan's goods in bulk quantity, but was afraid Fang Yuan would not be able to supply them, so they wanted to discuss with his main body. If it was possible, they could establish long-term cooperation. This news could be true but could also be false. There is a higher chance that this message is sent by those traditional Year GU sellers using a disguised identity. Fang Yuan sneered, completely disregarding this message. Long-term cooperation. Fang Yuan was not interested. He wanted to wage war this time. Central Continent. Rong Xin was silent. The seller is actually not interested in my proposal. Rong Xin was quite surprised. He had disguised as a huge buyer to try to communicate with Fang Yuan personally and glean his background. But Fang Yuan actually ignored him. How can this be? Even if he is a representative of a super force, they would also hope that their Year GU would have much larger buyers. Unless he does not have many Year GU left. Rong Xin was a member of the 10 great ancient sects, and as a Righteous Path member, he naturally understood the thoughts of Righteous Path GU Immortals and super forces. He pondered and felt this guess was very likely. It must be because of this that this mysterious seller is selling Year GU this early. It is to avoid as 3 sellers. He refused even my proposal. He probably really does not have much stock left. Actually, the amount of Year GU he has sold is only 1/10 of what I have in stock. Hee. Rong Xin chuckled when he thought of this. This is a good method to gain attention. He commented in his head on Fang Yuan's action. Unfortunately, what use is it if you don't have enough strength? Southern border. Dragon Return Valley. The rumbling of a waterfall echoed in the valley. Mist permeated and the vegetation thrived. Wang Mingyu, an external supreme elder of the Righteous Path Super Force Yao clan, was standing on a giant boulder, gazing at the waterfall. This waterfall was not ordinary, it was a tributary of the River of Time. Year GU has 3 great sellers. Eastern Sea's Xie Baoshu uses vicissitude trees to nurture Year GU. Central Continent's Rong Xin uses refinement path methods to periodically refine countless Year GU. But only I have a grasp over a tributary of the River of Time. I can capture natural wild Year GU. Wang Mingyu inwardly compared herself to them. This tributary of the River of Time was rather special. It was a tributary that had forked from the middle of the River of Time. The River of Time had many special river segments. For instance, the Sword Blade River segment. It was a special river segment that was personally set up by Red Lotus Demon Venerable using the past Shi Yuan's sword aura and Dao Julang's blade aura to protect one of his Stone Lotus Islands. The Year River segment was filled with countless wild Year GU. Wang Mingyu had discovered this tributary back when she had been a lone immortal, and had secretly managed it. But several years later, Southern Border's Righteous Path forces discovered it and were naturally covetous. After a secret exchange, Yao Clan Wan, and Yao Clan GU Immortal Yao Tianzi married Wang Mingyu. With this reason, Yao Clan openly took this Dragon Return Valley as their territory. This year's harvests are pretty good. The amount of Year GU captured is actually 30% higher than normal. The other 2 are not making a move, then I shall start first. If I continue letting that newcomer sell his Year GU, it will probably not be easy for me to sell all these wild Year GU. Wang Mingyu put her thoughts into action, and began selling her Year Gu in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Her move immediately caused an uproar in Treasure Yellow Heaven. One of the three main sellers of Year Gu, Wang Mingyu, has made a move. If that mysterious seller is allowed to continue selling Year Gu, the sellers after him definitely won't have an easy time selling Year Gu. This will be quite a show. Right, that mysterious seller is selling so many Year Gu, the three main sellers definitely have a hard time being patient. Now that Wang Mingyu has made a move, the other two won't stand still. Let's wait and see, there might even be a price war, as buyers can pick up some benefits. Many GU immortals secretly communicated. Chapter 1453, Price War. Wang Mingyu took out her stock. Only Fang Yuan alone had been supplying Year Gu in a large amount in Treasure Yellow Heaven over these last days, now with one more competitor, it immediately caused a stir. Women are women after all, not even having this bit of patience. Central Continent's Rong Xin scoffed when he obtained this news. With this, many GU immortals will probably choose to watch. He had plentiful experience in selling Year Gu, and could immediately guess the changes in the market. Sure enough, the fervor of buying Year Gu in Treasure Yellow Heaven suddenly fell. Wang Mingyu became Fang Yuan's competitor, which all of a sudden caused the supply of Year Gu to be greater than demand. Other GU immortals were now keeping patient, waiting to see a good show. A storm was brewing in Treasure Yellow Heaven. In previous years, the sale of Year Gu had always been a hot business. This year, with Year Gu being sold ahead of time, the situation had now become desolate, with almost no one showing any interest. Wang Mingyu was helpless about this. There was no other way, she had a huge stock of Year Gu, if she did not start now and waited for the other two sellers to start selling, there would be a much smaller market for her goods. Wang Mingyu is actually selling ahead of time. Different from Rong Xin's passive stance, Xie Baoshu was hesitating. Xie Baoshu understood Wang Mingyu, this person was a veteran seller with plenty of experience, how could she not see the disadvantage of selling early? Most probably, she also has a lot of Year Gu on her. Xie Baoshu did not show anything on the surface, but was inwardly getting worried. A day later, he finally decided to take action, putting Year Gu for sale in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Xie Baoshu has also made a move. Two of the three main sellers are already selling their goods ahead of time. Of course, this year is different from the past, there is now a fourth gladiator in the arena. Within Treasure Yellow Heaven, the GU immortals discussed. Damn it, these two, when Rong Xin obtained news of this, he could only follow while gritting his teeth. The situation was already different from before. Previously, Fang Yuan was selling by himself, Rong Xin could endure this and remained unmoved. When Wang Mingyu joined, Rong Xin only felt slightly tensed, but with Xie Baoshu also joining in, the pressure on Rong Xin had increased. Among the four sellers, if he alone did not take action, then the one who suffered the most would no doubt be him. It was just that he had his own difficulties. His Year Gu were the results of refinement. Because there was not a set time like past years, his stock had not been accumulated enough. So he had the least amount of stock among the four sellers. Forced by the situation, Rong Xin could only grit his teeth and put his Year Gu for sale in Treasure Yellow Heaven. I have the least amount of stock, I cannot act forcefully. Rong Xin already had a hunch, what he needed now was time to refine much more Year Gu. Thinking of this, he contacted Xie Baoshu and Wang Mingyu. These three knew each other for many years, competing and communicating with each other about Year Gu business, and naturally had each other's information path Gu worms. Although there is a newcomer, I think us three should still act according to the old agreement, isn't that so? Rong Xin reminded the two. Xie Baoshu and Wang Mingyu naturally agreed. They had already broken some terms of the old agreement by selling Year Gu early. But since this was a special situation, it could be understood. But if they broke other terms, especially the one about price of Year Gu, that would be breaking the rules. With more sellers, there would naturally be a price war. This was a powerful method of a price war. But if it was used too strongly, it would hurt themselves. Xie Baoshu, Wang Mingyu, and Rong Xin had already competed with each other countless times, but they never changed the agreed price. Besides not being able to do anything to the other party, the main reason was to protect their benefits. This created a problem. If Fang Yuan's side suddenly dropped the price, what should they do? These three could obey the agreement, but Fang Yuan was a newcomer, even if Rong Xin persuaded him, he might not listen. But Rong Xin, Xie Baoshu, and Wang Mingyu were seemingly not worried about this. With four sellers supplying Year Gu, Fang Yuan immediately felt his sales becoming stagnant. I am a newcomer after all. Although my goods are of top quality, how could my status compare to those three main sellers in other GU Immortals' hearts? Wang Mingyu, Xie Baoshu, and Rong Xin were in this business for many years already, they had good reputation among the public. Fang Yuan could absolutely not compare in this aspect. This was where Fang Yuan was disadvantaged in. But Fang Yuan had his methods to resolve it. Soon, at almost the same time, Rong Xin, Xie Baoshu, and Wang Mingyu obtained a significant news. That mysterious seller was beginning to drop the price of year GU. He went for this after all. HMPH, I still thought he had some other methods. They were not anxious, even feeling somewhat disdainful. They had long grown out of this action of decreasing the price, and had even suffered a lot because of this. In a price war, taking the initiative to reduce the price was a double-edged sword, it would hurt others and hurt oneself as well. But as far as buyers were concerned, Fang Yuan reducing the price was no doubt good news. Weren't they waiting for this kind of opportunity? They were like hungry sharks that immediately swarmed in. Fang Yuan's year GU began to sell in large amounts, forming a stark contrast with Xie Baoshu, Wang Mingyu, and Rong Xin's. The other side seems to be an experienced veteran, this price reduction is quite to the standard. It gives a feeling of being a lot, but actually is not that much. Wang Mingyu had been observing the situation. But so what? The year GU market of the whole of Treasure Yellow Heaven is extremely big, how can you supply to the buyers of the whole 5 regions by yourself? In the end, the one to suffer will be yourself. We can clearly sell at a higher price. The 3 main sellers maintained their price, but several days later, they could not sit still. What's going on? This guy has so many year GU. It almost seems to be endless. How could he accumulate so many year GU? Something's wrong here. The moods of the 3 main sellers had become slightly heavy. But should they follow and reduce their price? They were hesitant. In the end, they had different mentalities. Fang Yuan was a newcomer, however much he earned would be fresh income. But these 3 main sellers were old veterans, and had a rough estimation of their profits every year. So if they were to reduce the price, their expected profits would decrease. Hesitation was natural. Several days later, Fang Yuan's sales were still going on fiercely, the 3 main sellers saw the situation was going in an unfavorable direction. Wang Mingyu was the first to discuss with the other 2 if they should also reduce the price. Xie Baoshu had a cold expression. Looking at this situation, this guy probably has enough stock. If we don't reduce our price, we simply won't be able to sell. That's right, Wang Mingyu added, this person's methods are not simple, he reduced the price just enough to suppress us 3. Rong Xin snorted. Whether we lose profits or not, it will have to be seen after selling all the year GU. If we decrease the price too much, even if we sell a lot, we will still lose massive profits overall, what is the point of that? He did not approve of this method, still wanting to wait patiently for a while more. There was no other way, he did not have much stock. If he reduced the price, there would be a lot of buyers and his goods would be all sold. When others learned he was out of stock so early, his image and reputation would be damaged. But he could not do anything about it, since the other 2 wanted to reduce the price, Rong Xin could only follow them. Chapter 1454, Commotion in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The price fell. As Fang Yuan's price fell, Xie Baoshu and the other sellers had to lower their prices too after a few days. However, they did not lower their prices much, they were in sync, at the same price as Fang Yuan. I am a newcomer in the year GU business, my identity is mysterious and unknown, compared to me, Xie Baoshu, Rong Xin, and Wang Mingyu are reputed figures with many years of experience, they are deeply trusted. Thus, as long as they lower their prices to match me, those who want to buy year GU will approach them instead. Fang Yuan knew deeply about the plan of Xie Baoshu and the rest. This was the advantage that Xie Baoshu and the rest had over Fang Yuan, their years of being in the business had deeply affected the buyers, it was not a joke. However, so what if they do this? Fang Yuan smiled lightly. On the day Xie Baoshu and the rest lowered their prices, Fang Yuan lowered his price again. The GU Immortals in Treasure Yellow Heaven were focusing on this huge price war. The moment Fang Yuan lowered his price, news spread rapidly. Before long, many of the forces and GU Immortals concerned about this matter learned about it. After hearing that Xie Baoshu lowered his price, I wanted to buy from him. After all, I do that every year. True, except I prefer Rong Xin's goods. But that 4th seller lowered his price again, he is truly rich, he wants to challenge the 3 main sellers. The buyers were overjoyed and relaxed. In this price war, they were the ones who benefited the most. Staying on the fence and watching this show, it was a very joyful thing to see. At the same price level, Fang Yuan was not their match, but the moment he lowered his prices, his advantage became huge. After all, Fang Yuan's goods were very high quality and cheap. Would those GU immortals be so stupid as to buy expensive goods instead? Thus for the following day, Fang Yuan's business was booming, the other three sellers had no business. After hearing this, Central Continent GU immortal Rongshin laughed, coldly of course. He spoke with the other two. Very interesting, this person really wants to challenge us to a price war. Wang Mingyu smiled. All these years, nobody could match our status. This time, I want to see how strong this person is. Xie Baoshu added. Then let us lower our prices too. There was nothing to say. Since Fang Yuan reduced his prices, the other three sellers followed. Their price was the same as Fang Yuan's year GU. They had hesitated earlier already. Since Fang Yuan was initiating the war, the three GU immortals were confident in their finances, they followed relentlessly. During the second price reduction, there was a small commotion in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The rest of the GU immortals started to get excited, because they knew that this was only the second price fall, the war had just started, there was going to be a third and fourth time later. But it will depend on the mysterious fourth seller on when he reduces his price again. Any price reduction is a fall in profits for the seller himself. Earlier, the fourth seller initiated the war, while the three main sellers have no fear in joining in, they had full confidence in themselves. That's right, the third reduction might be coming soon, but we do not know when. The GU immortals conversed among each other. Normally speaking, it was very common to reduce prices in such situations, but there was an interval between each reduction. Because the seller needs to observe the market and think about the decisions to make. Reducing the price was a double-edged sword, it could undercut the competitors, but it would harm one's own benefits. If the seller saw good prospects in the market, they might not reduce prices anymore. They needed to defend their own benefits. If they reduce the prices further, even if they increase the quantity sold, they would not earn much profits. After all, competitors would reduce prices too. If the sellers refused to give in and constantly reduce prices, competing without restraint, they would collapse together. There were basically no GU immortals who would do this and ruin the market for everyone. The sellers were not stupid, they wanted to earn profits. If they only cared about competition and disregarded profits, why would they sell anything? Sellers were smart, but buyers were intelligent too. After the three sellers reduced their price to Fang Yuan's level, they stopped buying, the sales of year GU became very pathetic. Because the most crucial person in this price war was Fang Yuan. And the moment Fang Yuan reduced his price, they would buy a bit. Why? Firstly, in terms of prices, Fang Yuan selling at a lower price would be more beneficial to them. Of course, they were encouraging him to continue competing with the three sellers and reduce prices. Eventually, Fang Yuan will be unable to endure it, because the one to lower the prices will suffer losses. But after the prices reach the lower limit, the buyers would benefit the most. If the four sellers end up at the same price, they would not buy the year GU from Fang Yuan. A price war made good use of such psychological tactics. After the second price reduction, the four sellers reached the same price again. Fang Yuan's actions were out of expectations, he was paying close attention to Treasure Yellow Heaven. The moment the three sellers reduced their price, he reacted and reduced his own price again. Many people were astonished, Fang Yuan's reaction was simply too fast. And from his speed, many people could sense his firm and determined attitude. He is well prepared for this. Rongshin sighed, he felt a little pressure as he had the least stock among the sellers. Towards the later stages of this price war, when the commodity prices are low, sales would boom. By then, if he had low stock, it would be very awkward. There are buyers but no goods. Not only would he be out of the game, buyers would think of him as unreliable, his reputation accumulated over the years would be ruined. Rongshin did not want that to happen. He asked others to refine year GU at full speed to replenish his stock while thinking if he should reduce prices again. More specifically, if he should reduce the price until his competitors could not and dare not try to follow him, because it would result in major losses. But he would not lower prices by too much, buyers must continue to think that they could continue watching without doing anything. In that case, as long as he had enough time, Rongshin could replenish his stocks and win at the final moments of the price war. However, in this case, if I reduce prices drastically, the other two parties will know that I do not have much stock now. Rongshin was very hesitant. Since he could think of this to alleviate his crisis, the other two parties were also experienced sellers, they could naturally deduce his current situation. Deductions were not hard to do. People with experience were sensitive to such changes. That way, if Rongshin did this, he would be exposing his weakness, he would likely get kicked out of the game earlier. Thus, not only was he hesitant, he had a headache. A huge headache, because he needed to think about the buyer and seller mentality while also paying attention to his competitors. Right when he was hesitant and indecisive, Xie Baoshu and Wang Mingyu lowered their prices again. The price fell like earlier, maintained at the same level as Fang Yuan. They had sufficient stock, especially Wang Mingyu, they were not anxious. Since Fang Yuan wanted to compete and reduce prices, they would follow. After all, they would gain the market share if prices were equal, they had a huge advantage. This was the third drop in prices. After hearing news, Fang Yuan laughed heartily as cold light shone in his eyes. In that case, I will speed things up. This time, he lowered prices again. And this fall was drastic, far beyond the earlier rounds. This time, there was a huge commotion in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The buyers were excited, this was the result that they wanted, they had waited so long for this victorious moment. It fell by this much. Xie Baoshu had a solemn expression, he could feel Fang Yuan's overpowering attitude. If the earlier few rounds were light punches, this was a heavy kick. But Xie Baoshu had to react to it. If not, he would be kicked out of this war. Buyers had no loyalty after all, price wars were very cruel. Xie Baoshu was the first to lower prices, followed by Wang Mingyu as they reached the same prices again. Rongshin had a huge headache. He had wanted to drop his prices drastically earlier, but in his moment of hesitation, the opponent acted before he did anything. This way, not only would his earlier plans be ruined, if he wanted to go ahead with it, he would need to reduce his prices even further. But that would be a dangerous price, because if it becomes lower than the usual year GU sale price of previous years, the buyers would start buying enthusiastically. Or maybe that mysterious seller has little stock. He has the same plan as me. Rongshin had his final bit of hope. He was the last to reduce his price, following the other three. They all lowered their prices. Ha ha ha, the buyers were very happy, but the happiest part had yet to come. When Rongshin lowered his price, Fang Yuan continued to lower his year GU price again. And this time, it was even larger than before. Treasure Yellow Heaven was in a commotion. The three sellers were shocked. This will be a tough one. Xie Baoshu had a grim expression, he was originally relaxed and cool, he acted casually and without emotions, but now he could not contain himself anymore. Fang Yuan reduced the prices and shrunk the profits of the year GU business. For the three sellers, if they followed, they would suffer great loss of profits. He is going all out. Wang Mingyu was tongue-tied, she had a chilly feeling. She had not felt this for a long time already. Chapter 1455, Victor. Rongshin's lingering bit of hope was smashed. Because he knew that the other party was not like him, they had ample stock and this price would definitely create a huge commotion in the sale of year GU this time round. I lost this time. Rongshin smiled bitterly, he had no choice but to give up due to his low quantity. Forget about excuses, losses were often justified with reasoning, but people in this world did not care about reasons, they did not need your excuses. They only cared about victory or loss. Like what Rongshin expected, after Fang Yuan lowered his price, there was a huge wave of commotion and purchases. Many buyers started to purchase year GU. Such a cheap price was rarely seen. If they did not make use of this chance, how could they? Huge transactions were ongoing, Fang Yuan was raking in huge profits. But the other three parties did not follow him. Xie Baoshu and Wang Mingyu were hesitant. Earlier, Rongshin hesitated, it was now their turn. If they followed Fang Yuan and lowered their prices too, their year GU would be sold rapidly as well. But if they did that, the profits would become too small. It would be far from their original expectations. But if they did not follow him, Fang Yuan would steal their business away, what should they do? The key to this was how much stock Fang Yuan had left. If Fang Yuan had excessive stock, Xie Baoshu and the rest would need to follow him. The market was only this big, there was only a limited amount of demand, the more Fang Yuan sold, the less they would sell. But if Fang Yuan had insufficient stock, Xie Baoshu and the rest would not need to lower prices, they just need to wait. After he finishes his stock, they would be able to sell at a higher price later, their profits would be retained. They would win this fight after all. Thus, Xie Baoshu and the rest started to think, who is this Fang Yuan exactly? Was he a man or a woman? Was he part of a force? Or an individual? Why was there no information about him earlier? Why did he appear out of nowhere? They could not understand. He appeared too suddenly. Actually, other than the three of them, the Year GU market had other smaller sellers. But these people were quickly eliminated by them, because they could not be the seller now. Right now, those small business owners probably have pale expressions while watching this intense price war. Thinking of this, Rong Shin's mood became slightly better. He was unlucky and would likely be the first person out of this race, but there were even more unlucky people besides him. It made him feel a little better in comparison. But he was just consoling himself. It could not affect the reality of things. No matter how they thought about it, the three sellers could not decipher Fang Yuan's background. To play safe, Xie Baoshu and Wang Mingyu decided to follow after Fang Yuan and reduce prices too, until they match him. But Rong Shin did not follow them. It seems that Rong Shin thinks the seller does not have much stock. Xie Baoshu thought. But he did not know that Rong Shin was out of options. He had little stock. If he reduced prices by that much, the heated sales would deplete his stock, he would be out of the competition. He would rather keep his prices and take a gamble. If Fang Yuan had little stock, he would win and continue to stay in this. If not, he would lose, but that was no different from lowering prices anyway. Xie Baoshu did not know about Rong Shin's problem. He felt that he was gambling on Fang Yuan not having enough Year GU. But Xie Baoshu had a stable mindset. He wanted to follow because that was the safest option. As for Wang Mingyu, after some consideration, she also made the same choice as Xie Baoshu. But with her woman's intuition, she had more suspicions. She thought, why did Rong Shin not lower his price? Is he making a gamble, or does he know the other party's background, or does he have any evidence or news about it? If Rong Shin knew about Fang Yuan's background, it was possible that he would not tell the two of them about it. He was sitting on the fence and watching. This was advantageous to Rong Shin. Thus, Wang Mingyu contacted Rong Shin and tried to probe him. Rong Shin received Wang Mingyu's transmission and felt helpless about it. He felt some sympathy towards her. Overall, he had a complex emotion now. Thus, the current situation was, Fang Yuan, Xie Baoshu, and Wang Mingyu had the same price, while Rong Shin's price was higher than them. At this time, large numbers of GU Immortals started to buy Year GU, or started to prepare to buy them. Everyone was moved. This price was lower than ever before. It was an alluring price. Wait for an even lower price. The buyers shook their heads. It could not go much lower anymore. The buyers were smart, but the sellers were not stupid either. Thus, when Fang Yuan lowered his price again, everyone was stunned. Did I hear wrongly? They lowered the price again. And by such a huge amount. Oh my, what is going on? Is this new seller stupid? The buyers were in disbelief. I do not care if he is stupid or has other objectives. I know that his Year GU are genuine products, and he is selling at this price indeed. If I do not buy now, I will be the fool. A GU Immortal cried out in his mind. But others were like this too. A huge amount of GU Immortal divine senses or wills surrounded Fang Yuan's stall. The heated scene was unprecedented. Buy, buy, buy. The GU Immortals were filled with this thought. It had never been this cheap before. If they wait until that fool realizes his prices are too low, it would be too late. The buyers felt a strong sense of urgency. What is this person doing? After seeing this, Xie Baoshu lost his cool. If he followed this price, his profits would be reduced to just a sliver. For example, in previous years, if a Year GU could earn 100 each, if he follows Fang Yuan's price, he would only get single-digit profits per GU. Why did he spend so much effort on growing vicissitude trees? Wasn't it to nurture Year GU and earn profits? If he reduced his prices to Fang Yuan's level, his profits would be gone. This price was way below his bottom line. If he had to sell at this price, he would rather keep the goods. But, Xie Baoshu frowned. He fell into deep contemplation. At the same time, Wang Mingyu was worried. Her situation was the same as Xie Baoshu. If she followed Fang Yuan, her profits would be unacceptable. But should she stop selling? It was not so simple. If they did not follow and Fang Yuan's stock was huge, the market in Treasure Yellow Heaven would be completely taken over by Fang Yuan. There was another possibility. Fang Yuan was purposely lowering the price as a tactic. It was possible that he had only purposely lowered it this much to probe the other sellers, or to raise his own reputation. If I do not follow, I would be showing weakness, but I can preserve my strength. If I follow him, I would be clashing with that newcomer in a crazy manner. After thinking about it for a while, Wang Mingyu decided to follow him. But at this time, Xie Baoshu had already stopped. The sale price of the year GU in the market was lowest at Fang Yuan and Wang Mingyu, followed by Xie Baoshu and Rongxin at the highest. Evidently, nobody was buying from those two shops. Most of the buyers were at Fang Yuan's and Wang Mingyu's shops. Xie Baoshu was observing the situation. He needed to know if Fang Yuan was putting up a front or if he really had the foundation. Wang Mingyu was very nervous, because this sale price was losing her a lot of profits. And among the three sellers, she was the only one left. Rongxin became the most relaxed person, he was watching them fight. It is about time to deal the final blow. Fang Yuan was very calm. At this point, he had probed the bottom line of these three sellers, even though Wang Mingyu was still contesting with him. According to the usual market situation, the three sellers were about the same level, even if Wang Mingyu was superior, it was not by much. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan lowered his price again. But this time, he only reduced it by a tiny little bit. However, this small drop in price was like a sharp blade stabbing into the three sellers' hearts. Rongxin turned pale. Xie Baoshu squinted with a dark expression on his face. Wang Mingyu clenched her fists, she gritted her teeth and said in shock, "Why? Why go this far?" Fang Yuan's drop in price was small, but very fatal, it was lower than the cost price of these three sellers. Since year GU was being sold, there were costs involved in obtaining them. Rongxin needed GU materials, he spent immortal essence to refine them using GU refinement methods. Xie Baoshu had vicissitude trees, he also needed manpower and resources. Even though Wang Mingyu could capture year GU from the tributary of the River of Time, the method used required immortal essences, and funds were needed to manage the tributary of the River of Time. Selling below the cost price, that would be a true loss. This was a move usually done by those who had a surplus of stock and could not sell them, or if they had an urgent need for funds, this was a desperate choice. If one did this in a price war, the competitors might be fine, but the person themselves would suffer a major loss first. This was too harsh, it was harsh to others, and also harsh to themselves. Wang Mingyu was shocked, she did not dare to follow him. She would be an idiot if she did. This was year GU, the GU was actually sold at a loss, what did that mean? The buyers were shocked too. This price was out of their imaginations, they were tongue-tied, completely in disbelief. But soon, the GU immortals present reacted. Treasure Yellow Heaven was in a huge commotion. Countless GU immortals surrounded Fang Yuan's stall tightly, the situation was completely chaotic and heated. This was no longer about buying. They were earning profits. Buying year GU at this price, according to usual market prices, they were buying it at a profit. Countless transactions were undergoing, even those who already bought year GU came back and purchased from Fang Yuan again. Fang Yuan's business was unthinkably booming, the other three sellers were completely ousted, they were in pathetic states. But at this time, the three sellers stopped being anxious. Who is this newcomer? He is so fierce in his moves, but I am afraid he has messed up now. He. Observe. I will observe. I refuse to believe that he can maintain the price of the year GU at this low level. The three sellers were waiting for the time when Fang Yuan's losses became too severe. But Fang Yuan could go on endlessly. Because he was using rank 8 immortal GU years flow like water, the cost behind the production of year GU was merely his immortal essence used to activate the rank 8 immortal GU. Fang Yuan's production had costs of course. But his cost was far lower, compared to the three sellers, if their cost price was 10, his was only 3 or 4. Anyone could sell year GU, the quality of the goods was similar in most cases, the competition here was really only dependent on their cost. Fang Yuan sold at this price, but he could still earn profits, while the three sellers would sell at a loss. They were unable to sell, but Fang Yuan could dump his stock. The victor of this price war was decided from the start, it was undoubtedly Fang Yuan. Chapter 1456. Good news upon good news. It is finally over, this price war was truly interesting. Zhao Lianyun sighed internally. The sale of year GU ended in Fang Yuan's victory. Many GU immortals were shocked by the results. Such situations were rare, the newcomer actually defeated 3 seniors in this market. Most of the people were originally thinking that the newcomer was a wolf while the 3 sellers were tigers and lions. But in the end, the newcomer was not a wolf but a dragon. The 3 sellers were not his match, they lost terribly and could not sell their year GU. For the following period, this year GU competition's influence will continue to spread, it will become a tale for people to talk about, GU immortals would reminiscence over it. Zhao Lianyun started to think about this price war. She wanted to gain knowledge from this price war, so as to learn something useful for herself. Then, why did the newcomer win in this battle while the long-time sellers lost? Zhao Lianyun asked herself. Next, she answered herself, because the newcomer has great strength, even if the three sellers worked together, they were not his match. Using absolute strength to sweep the market. Zhao Lianyun was slightly dazed before smiling bitterly. She wanted to learn how to enter the market as a newcomer. Even though Fang Yuan's method seemed ingenious and meticulous, he had unparalleled strength to sweep the market and suppress all his competitors. Zhao Lianyun could learn nothing from him. Because he used absolute strength. Since the newcomer has such strength, why did he not reduce the price from the start? Zhao Lianyun asked herself. She felt like Fang Yuan's actions were a bit pointless. But soon, when she thought again, realization flashed across her eyes. I understand. Starting at a high price and gradually reducing it can earn more profits than dropping the prices immediately. He can also probe the three sellers' bottom lines. Finally, he is trying to assert dominance. The thoughts in Zhao Lianyun's mind clashed continuously. After this competition ended, the newcomer won. It was no surprise he won with such strength, but he is definitely not satisfied with just one win. The newcomer wants to dominate Treasure Yellow Heaven's market. Not only does he want to defeat the three sellers, he wants to drive these people out of the market. This person is so overbearing. Sigh, when can I possess such strength too? Zhao Lianyun thought of this and sighed deeply to herself. She had just started managing an immortal aperture. She was very far from Fang Yuan's level of development. No matter what, she had already etched Fang Yuan's fatty will to her mind. Zhao Lianyun saw him as a mountain. She who had just become a GU immortal could only watch and admire him. Rong Xin, Wang Mingyu, and Xie Baoshu were discussing among themselves. Sigh, where did this person come from? They have such great strength, able to satisfy the entire market in Treasure Yellow Heaven alone. Our year GU are literally unsellable now. Wang Mingyu sighed. It is not so simple, he is trying to get rid of us entirely. Xie Baoshu was pale, his voice was turning shrill. Brother Xie is right, this person is selling year GU at such a low price. For the next few years, the market for year GU will shrink immensely. No matter who it is, they are going overboard. Not only did they take the bulk of the profit, they also refused to leave us any leftovers. Rong Xin had a grim expression. The three sellers had year GU, but they could not sell any. Year GU was needed by everyone. Fang Yuan supplied this huge quantity. It caused a tremendous amount of sales, but these three could not get rid of any of their stock. Since year GU were easy to raise, they only fed on the water of the river of time. It was not hard to accumulate them at all. This way, not just now, for the next few years, the three sellers would not be able to sell their year GU. And for the buyers, since they had year GU themselves, why would they buy more? Unless the price was even lower, they might want to accumulate a bit more. But the three sellers could naturally not sell their year GU at Fang Yuan's price. The three sellers stored their year GU up for now. But what was the use of that? After 2 to 3 years, when the market regains its demand for year GU after fully digesting Fang Yuan's sales, the price of year GU will rise again. By then, the three sellers would be able to sell it, but Fang Yuan could do the same. If he did the same thing again, the three sellers would not be able to sell off their year GU once more. This was strength. With such a difference in strength, no plots or schemes could work. Fang Yuan was a very intelligent person, but this time, he acted straightforwardly. It was most effective to directly crush them. The three sellers became quiet after a while of discussion. The atmosphere was very heavy. Because they knew clearly that as long as Fang Yuan had this strength, they would not have an easy time in the future. Even though the sale of year GU would not disappear, their profits from this business would shrink drastically. They would need to give up on the market in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Right now, we can only hope that this person is putting up a front, that his actions were all just to scare us off. Wang Mingyu smiled bitterly and broke the silence. The other two immortals shook their heads. This was very unlikely. We can work together, Rong Xin said quickly. This was a solution. In the past, the three of them fought and competed. Only after a while did they set an agreement to work together and gain profits together for a long time. But how can we cooperate with him? The difference in strength is apparent. Wang Mingyu sighed. Xie Baoshu analyzed calmly. That will depend on our ability. If Year Jiu cannot convince him, we will need to discuss other things. What if he does not agree? Wang Mingyu asked again. Xie Baoshu was silent. Rong Xin sighed bitterly. If he does not agree and wants us out of the business, we can only give up on the Year Jiu business. There was nothing that could be done about it. Competition was cruel. Fang Yuan's strength made it impossible for the three sellers, they could only give up on Year Jiyu. But how could they give up so easily? The profit of the Year Jiyu business was sustaining them and the super forces behind them. Now that it was destroyed, who could handle the outcome? No, I cannot give up on the Year Jiyu business. Xie Baoshu gritted his teeth. He was a lone cultivator, he had been relying on Year Jiyu to support his cultivation and connections to others. With this loss, it was a detrimental blow to him. Wang Mingyu's situation was slightly better than Xie Baoshu. She was once a lone immortal, she had turned over to the righteous path and joined a super force. Even if there were no profits here, it was not her responsibility. On the other hand, she could rely on her husband and the clan behind them. Rongshin had the smallest pressure. Because he was also a member of a super force, it was a central continent super force with deep foundations. And most importantly, he obtained Year Jiyu from refining Jiyu. If he did not need Year Jiyu, he could just stop refining it. It was easy for him to change businesses. Cooperate with me. Fang Yuan soon received their transmissions, he sneered. Why would he cooperate? He could easily devour the market alone, why would he hand over the profits to them? Fang Yuan rejected them immediately. 12 million immortal essence stones. These were Fang Yuan's gains in the price war. Even though his price was low, the quantity sold was too immense, he still accumulated a huge sum. When I drive these three sellers out of the market, I will be able to raise prices slightly. But for the next few years, the three sellers will likely still stay in here. Fang Yuan evaluated. On one hand, they were unwilling to give up, on the other hand, they wanted to probe Fang Yuan's foundation and see if he was scamming them. And finally, even though Treasure Yellow Heaven's market was taken by Fang Yuan, not everyone bought things from Treasure Yellow Heaven. For example, Wang Mingyu's super force behind her would buy a huge portion of her Year Jiyu. Other than that, there were many forces which would buy their Year Jiyu even if prices were higher to maintain relationships. Of course, as long as Fang Yuan continued to dominate the market of Treasure Yellow Heaven using such methods, in 5 to 6 years, these three sellers would have an even harder time. After all, the prices were too low, even with their deep relationships, buyers would want to buy from Fang Yuan. In the entire Jiyu Immortal World's market, Treasure Yellow Heaven was a huge proportion of it. From now on, Fang Yuan only needed to dominate Treasure Yellow Heaven, he would eventually influence the other markets and become the biggest seller of the Year Jiyu business in the entire Jiyu Immortal World. As for the others, even if they could do some Year Jiyu business, they could not compare to him. After repaying my debts, I still have 10 million Immortal Essence Stones left. But for the next 2 to 3 years, this way of getting profits cannot be used. While Fang Yuan was thinking of how to use these Immortal Essence Stones to manage his Immortal Aperture, Sixth Hair approached him. He gave Fang Yuan some excellent news. Elder Fang Yuan, the food path Immortal Jiyu that you wanted me to refine has been created. Chapter 1457, Food Path Immortal Jiyu Snack. A small food path Immortal Jiyu was in the center of Fang Yuan's palm. It was green throughout, about the size of an adult's thumb, but its body was split into 6 segments like a caterpillar. And on its forehead, there was a silver horn. At this moment, it was lying around in Fang Yuan's palm, rolling around according to Fang Yuan's will, it had been refined already. When Refinement Path Jiyu Immortals successfully refine Immortal Jiyu, in most situations, the Immortal Jiyu would have already been refined by them. That meant Sixth Hair was the owner of this food path Immortal Jiyu. But due to Sixth Hair handing it over to him, Fang Yuan could easily refine this food path Immortal Jiyu compared to Wild Immortal Jiyu. Rank 6 Food Path Immortal Jiyu, Snack. This was one of the Jiyu that Fang Yuan wanted Lang Yasek to refine. After inheriting Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, he had requested Lang Yasek to refine 3 Immortal Jiyu for him. And right now, they had already been completed. They were Rank 7 Immortal Jiyu Self-Love, Rank 6 Immortal Jiyu Cleanse Soul, and Rank 6 Immortal Jiyu Snack. These 3 Immortal Jiyu were needed by Fang Yuan urgently. Self-Love Immortal Jiyu was very useful, it was the core of self-cleansing, it was necessary to him. Fang Yuan could get away from Heavenly Court's investigative methods due to it. Even though Cleanse Soul Immortal Jiyu was Rank 6, the difficulty of refining it was the biggest among the 3. But after refining it, Fang Yuan solved the soul path trap on the 8-arm Immortal Zombie body, he could use the light of wisdom once again. It was incredibly useful to him. As for Snack Immortal Jiyu, it was a food path Immortal Jiyu. Fang Yuan needed it to solve the problem of feeding his Immortal Jiyu. The Immortal Jiyu recipe of Snack Immortal Jiyu came from Shadow Sect. The source was spectral soul demon Venerable. In his life, he had killed the beastman Gu Immortal and obtained his food path true inheritance. That beastman Gu Immortal was the legendary figure who created food path. Seniors paved the way for juniors. The food path true inheritance in Fang Yuan's hands was the most authentic one in the world. After injecting red date immortal essence, Snack Immortal Gu's caterpillar body shook like it had gotten drunk. Its lower half sprawled out on Fang Yuan's palm while the upper half stood up and shook its head. In the process, its green body turned red, until it turned into a lava-like color. At the same time, its slim body became thicker gradually. Plop. Eventually, it spat out a large amount of sticky yellowish liquid from its mouth, before it shriveled and shrunk until it was smaller than normal. Its body also turned from red to pale white, like it had been weakened. With the food path true inheritance, Fang Yuan knew clearly that Snack Immortal Gu had a restricted usage. After each usage, it needed time to heal before it could be used again. If Fang Yuan used it continuously beyond its limits, it would spit out a large amount of yellowish water before dying rapidly. Only when it recovers and its leaves turn green again could it be activated once more. Fang Yuan placed Snack Immortal Gu into his immortal aperture before turning his attention to the yellowish liquid. This liquid was very special. It floated in the air and did not land. It shrunk into a small ball. It was like an egg that has the white and yolk mixed together. This yellowish liquid was what Fang Yuan wanted to get. With it, he could feed his immortal Gu in place of a portion of the food they needed. For other rank 6 immortal Gu, this yellowish liquid could make up 6% of their food. The effect was weaker for rank 7 immortal Gu. 6% seemed little, but Snack Immortal Gu could be used again in a few days. It would squirt out another glob of yellowish liquid. If he accumulated it, it would be very helpful towards the feeding of his immortal Gu. Of course, there was a limit to the amount of yellowish liquid that he could use. It could replace a maximum of 40% of the immortal Gu's food. Beyond that, it would not have any effect. Fang Yuan took out an immortal Gu as it quickly devoured the yellowish liquid. The test was completed perfectly. Fang Yuan nodded in satisfaction while sighing internally. He had wanted food path methods long ago, because since rebirth, he had many immortal Gu with him. He had a huge burden of feeding them. Before now, Fang Yuan had been very busy in feeding his immortal Gu. To think that I would obtain a food path true inheritance from my great enemy Shadow Sect. And it is actually the best food path true inheritance in the world. And the process of refining Snack Immortal Gu was much easier than cleanse soul and self-love. The refinement of immortal Gu was really hard to estimate. In order to refine cleanse soul, Fang Yuan failed many times, but when refining Snack Immortal Gu, he only made 5 attempts. Success on the 5th try was a huge surprise. With this Snack Immortal Gu, Fang Yuan's pressure of feeding immortal Gu was much smaller. By reducing the food of rank 6 immortal Gu by 40% and replacing it with immortal essence. Even though the effect was weaker on rank 7 and 8 immortal Gu, his burden was much lighter now. After all, Fang Yuan had a huge number of immortal Gu with him now. Snack Immortal Gu held huge value to him. A few days later, Fang Yuan successfully bought a batch of desolate plants from Treasure Yellow Heaven. This batch of desolate plants was a thin layer of green fungal lawn. It lived on the surface of multicolored coral groups. It was light shine fungi. Light shine fungi lived deep in Eastern Sea. It was pure darkness there without any light. Due to the profundities of nature, the light shine fungi grew in that area and emitted an intense light, turning the dark sea into a shining area, like it was daytime. Fang Yuan had once tried to buy a batch in the Eastern Sea auction, but back then, Tonghua only wanted to trade them. Afterwards, she sold them in Treasure Yellow Heaven, and after some evaluation, the price got lower and lower. Initially, the Gu Immortals were very interested in this desolate plant. But afterwards, the buyers found out that this desolate plant was most suited to live in the completely dark deep sea. There was immense water pressure at that depth as well. After leaving this environment, even though the light shine fungi would not die, they would shrivel and emit a weak candle-like light. In this situation, Fang Yuan negotiated with Tonghua and bought all the light shine fungi that she had at the lowest price possible. Fang Yuan first placed a portion into his immortal aperture's mini Eastern Sea to nurture them. Next, he experimented on the remaining amount. He needed to modify this desolate plant so that it would change its characteristics and be usable to him. Fang Yuan's wood path attainment level was ordinary, but he was very confident. On one hand, he had too many methods. Shadow Sect's inheritances along with Langya Sect's true inheritances gave him a large number of modification methods, among which involved wood path, soul path, refinement path, and others. On the other hand, Fang Yuan had the ultimate trump card, the light of wisdom. Even if these methods were not useful, he could deduce his own way. Chapter 1458. Light Shine Fungi Business. In the vast eastern sea, waves were rumbling. Wind and waves swept towards a nameless island. It was not dusk yet, but the sky was already dark. Tonghua flew as she raised her head. Seeing the dark clouds looming over her in the sky, she sensed that a storm was brewing. She was feeling vexed, but her expression was calm. She quickly flew above the nameless island as she saw one person standing at the highest part of the island, looking at the sea and sky. I have kept you waiting. Tonghua landed towards the Gu Immortal as she bowed. The mysterious Gu Immortal turned around and revealed his appearance. He was an elderly man with a tall nose and thin eyes. He was smiling now as he said calmly, "No worries. Fairy Tonghua, I need to congratulate you. I heard that you sold all of your light shine fungi in Treasure Yellow Heaven." This elderly Gu Immortal was an Eastern Sea Rank 7 enslavement path Gu Immortal, Ren Shuping. Fairy Tonghua nodded as she handed Ren Shuping a large amount of Immortal Essence stones. Ren Shuping inspected it before hesitating purposely. "Fairy, if I counted correctly, the sum is a little lacking." Fairy Tonghua had a grim expression. She nodded. "I will return you most of it first. I will repay the rest at a later time." Ren Shuping nodded. "Very wise. According to our agreement, the lower your remaining debt is, the less interest you pay. It seems that you will be able to repay it soon." Fairy Tonghua snorted. Of course. She had gone through a tribulation earlier. The rebuilding of her immortal aperture took a lot of funds. She had to borrow. Ren Shuping was one of the lenders. He lent her the most amount of Immortal Essence stones. But her agreement with Ren Shuping was also the strictest one with the highest interest rate. Originally, Fairy Tonghua was in a terrible condition, but to think that Fang Yuan actually bought all of her light shine fungi, she regained some funds. Returning most of the debt at once, her crisis was greatly alleviated. Fairy Tonghua had little pressure in returning the rest of the debt including the interest. After the transaction, Fairy Tonghua did not want to stay anymore. She was about to leave when Ren Shuping said, "Fairy, wait. What matter do you have? If you want to lend more Immortal Essence stones, forgive me, but I will not borrow any." Fairy Tonghua frowned lightly as she said coldly. Ren Shuping smiled. "Don't worry Fairy, that is not it. I have an incomplete true inheritance in my hands. It is from a woodpath great expert long ago. Don't you want to modify the light shine fungi? I believe this true inheritance will be of great help to you." Fairy Tonghua became suspicious. "How did you know that I was modifying the light shine fungi?" Ren Shuping chuckled. "You did not conceal this matter. I easily found out about it with some investigation." Fairy Tonghua had a grim expression, matching the terrible weather. Splash splash splash. Great winds blew, waves crashed on the shore of the nameless island, creating huge ripples. Ren Shuping was right. Tonghua had invested too much into modifying the light shine fungi, causing her finances to crumble. She was forced to borrow funds to maintain her financial situation. If not for that, with her foundation, she could sustain the cost of rebuilding the immortal aperture. After a while of silence, Fairy Tonghua asked, "Which woodpath great expert are you referring to?" Ren Shuping smiled. "Woodpath Gu Immortal Kui Wuzi, have you heard of him?" Fairy Tonghua was slightly surprised. He is a woodpath great expert indeed with rank 8 cultivation level. But in history, he was famous for battle strength. His immortal aperture management was not good. Ren Shuping shook his head, saying in a confident tone, "Fairy, that is not true. You have that impression because Kui Wuzi's battle strength was too stunning, it overshadowed his ability to manage the immortal aperture. The truth is, he was quite impressive. Without immortal aperture foundation, battle strength is pointless to some degree. Furthermore, even if his management was not good, he was still a rank 8 Gu Immortal, and was from Woodpath. He is definitely very useful to you, that is undeniable." Tonghua was moved. She thought, "I had been facing problems with modifying light shine fungi earlier. The reason was not my light path attainment level but woodpath instead. If I can get this incomplete true inheritance, it would likely help me in this problem and the modification of the light shine fungi would succeed." Thinking of this, Tonghua hesitated before asking Ren Shuping, "What is the price of Kui Wuzi's true inheritance?" Ren Shuping thought, "The fish has taken the bait," but he said, not high at all." Both sides negotiated but eventually, Fairy Tonghua bought the true inheritance of Kui Wuzi from Ren Shuping and left the nameless island. The moment she left, a storm started. Both the sky and sea were of the same dark murky color. Crack! A loud thunder and a snake-like lightning flashed across heaven and earth. At this instant, the lightning reflected on Ren Shuping's face. He was smiling like his scheme had succeeded. I succeeded. Tong Hua was deceived by the reputation of Kui Wuzi. His true inheritance is actually not very helpful to her. Especially after I took out some crucial information from it. Light shine fungus is a desolate plant. How can it be easy to modify a desolate plant? Especially when Tong Hua cultivates light path instead of wood path, how can she succeed without years of research? Northern Plains, Langya blessed land. Fang Yuan's divine sense entered his sovereign immortal aperture. Immortal killer move, light fungus radiance. Fang Yuan activated his immortal killer move, creating a burst of orange-yellow light. The orange light shone on the green light shine fungi as it started to transform. The light shine fungi was dyed at a rapid rate, it gradually changed colors from green to pure white. A moment later, the immortal killer move was successfully activated. Fang Yuan only saw pure white light shine fungi in front of him. The light shine fungi was different from before. Instead of wilting, they radiated with strong light. Fang Yuan used his investigative methods to check it before nodding in satisfaction. Excellent, the light shine fungus modification was quite successful. I can start a wide-scale plantation now. Fang Yuan's wood path attainment was even lower than Fairy Tong Hua. But he had the light of wisdom to assist his thinking. He also had Shadow Sect's and Langya Sect's inheritances. He had a vast amount of foundational knowledge. He also had access to a huge number of immortal GU, and could even borrow more. Due to many reasons, he managed to create the immortal killer move Light Fungus Radiance. This move used Perseverance Immortal GU, Self-Love Immortal GU and Wood Sprout Immortal GU as the cores, with Snack Immortal GU supplementing them, to allow green light shine fungi to transform into pure white light shine fungi, suited for the environment of the sky. Among them, Wood Sprout Immortal GU was borrowed from Langya Sect. Perseverance and Self-Love were Fang Yuan's to begin with. As for Snack Immortal GU, he had just refined it. It was quite a surprise that it was useful so quickly. Afterwards, Fang Yuan placed the light shine fungi into Mini Orange Heaven and Mini White Heaven. There was a field of Aurora Lights in Mini Orange Heaven. Within the Aurora Lights were fruits known as flowing light fruits. As for Mini White Heaven, there was a field of multicolored Overlord flowers. After placing the light shine fungi there, the two places started to shine intensely. Due to this influence, Mini Orange Heaven's Aurora Lights started to expand. Even though the extent was mild, as time passes, this would be a substantial change. As for Mini White Heaven, the multicolored Overlord flowers also became energized. Be it the Aurora Lights or multicolored Overlord flowers, they needed intense lights. The modified pure white light shine fungi could float in the sky. They were very helpful to the areas. Fang Yuan was satisfied after inspecting them. As long as these two areas are developed, at this rate, I will be able to satisfy the food requirements of Attitude GU and Wisdom Sword GU. Fang Yuan had 3 rank 8 Immortal GU. Years flow like water consumed the water of the river of time. There were no issues with its food. Attitude GU and Wisdom Sword Immortal GU were harder to deal with. All along, Fang Yuan had been worried about this, and now, he saw hope of finally resolving this. Furthermore, the light shine fungus can reproduce by itself. When the scale of my light shine fungi increases in the future, it will become another business that I can engage in. This was highly possible. The pure white light shine fungus that Fang Yuan modified was marketable. It was much better than the original light shine fungus. If he sold it, it would receive much attention and interest. Fang Yuan had already planned. He was going to nurture both versions of the light shine fungus. He would place a portion of the green light shine fungi into Mini Eastern Sea, while putting most of his attention on the pure white light shine fungi. After satisfying his own needs, he would sell the rest. Let me count. To get the light shine fungi into a scale that satisfies my needs, I will need to invest 2 million Immortal Essence Stones. To make it into a business and sell it to others, I will need to invest another 1.8 million Immortal Essence Stones. The feeding of rank 8 Immortal GU was too high of a burden. In total, he would need 4 million Immortal Essence Stones. But if he succeeds, he would have a monopoly over this market. It was extremely profitable. For the next 2 to 3 years, the year GU market would be oversupplied. Even for the next 4 to 5 years, Treasure Yellow Heavens market would be very lacking in demand. Because GU Immortals already had a lot of year GU stocked up in their inventories. Just earlier, Fang Yuan created a huge commotion. The sale of year GU also affected the market of month GU and day GU. Fang Yuan wanted to create a new business. Light shine fungi was a good choice. Of course, the prospects could not match Guts GU. After he sells the modified light shine fungi for some time, people will learn about the details and modify it themselves. Meanwhile, only Danghun Mountain could produce Guts GU. Next, I will release the restraints and restore the sovereign immortal aperture's rate of time back to normal. Chapter 1459, Marriage with Fang Yuan. Northern Plains, Northern Icy Plain. A blizzard was blowing, snow was falling above the glacier. Under this glacier, a negotiation filled with heavy atmosphere was underway. The two groups of variant humans who lived here in seclusion, the Rockmen and Snowmen, were engaging in negotiation due to a territorial dispute earlier. Right now, this negotiation had been going on for 6 days and 6 nights. Moli region belongs to my Rockman tribe, it had been part of our territory since 400 years ago. This is the bottom line of our Rockman tribe, I hope the Snowmen can understand us. Shizong spoke loudly, his voice echoed in the room. The Rockman GU immortals who were engaged in the negotiation were extremely stubborn. Meanwhile, the Snowman GU immortals had dark and unsightly expressions. The Rockman tribe was very firm on this topic, it was an immense pressure on the Snowmen. Snowman GU immortal Bing Yuan said, that was the case 400 years ago. But afterwards, a senior GU immortal in our tribe won a bet against you, first Supreme Elder Shizong, and this Moli region was the wager. Shizong waved his hand rapidly, that was just a joke, it should not be taken for real. Bing Yuan smiled coldly, an agreement was set back then. Shizong had a solemn expression, countering, where is the agreement now? Bing Yuan was so angry she could not speak. This Shizong, not only did he use information path methods to get rid of the agreement, he even denied the bet, as the first Supreme Elder of the Rockman tribe, he was simply too shameless. But the Snowman GU immortals understood why, even though they were furious. Because there was just too little territory in this icy plain, after living here for so long, the Rockmen and Snowmen had propagated beyond the sustainable number for this place. Shizong was being so shameless to get back Moli region, it was for the sake of the Rockmen, and for their overall benefit. But in this case, the Snowman tribe's benefits were infringed. Eventually, this difficult negotiation had a result. The Snowmen lost while the Rockmen won, they gained control of Moli region. Immediately, the Rockmen ordered the Snowmen to leave Moli region, to hand over the space to the Rockmen in charge. After returning to their territory, Rank 7 GU Immortal Bing Zhou said angrily, these Rockmen are too much, how can they distort facts just because they have the Rank 8 battle strength Immemorial Rock Dragon? Bing Yuan consoled him, stay calm Bing Zhou, haven't we known about the Rockman tribe's attitude for the last 1,000 years? The Snowmen and Rockmen were living together in the northern icy plain, but the Rockmen had the advantage over them. There was only one reason, the Rank 8 battle strength Immemorial Rock Dragon. With such powerful strength, the Rockmen gained the advantage in many conflicts between the two tribes and defended their own benefits. Upon hearing the Immemorial Rock Dragon, Bing Zhou's rage faded, he sighed helplessly, sigh. Rank 8 battle strength, Immemorial Rock Dragon if we had Rank 8 battle strength too, we would contest them evenly, that would be great. Bing Yuan was silent for a moment before saying, it is not impossible to gain Rank 8 battle strength. I have a plan, if we succeed, the Immemorial Rock Dragon will be nothing compared to it. Bing Zhou heard this and his eyes shone, what plan, tell me. Actually, I have been planning this for some time, at this current moment, we have an opportunity, I will tell you. Bing Yuan said. Bing Zhou heard this and called out, you mean Lu Guanyi, wait no, Fang Yuan. Lu Guanyi's true identity, which was Fang Yuan, had been exposed by Heavenly Court long ago to the world. Even though the Snowman tribe were isolated, they still learned of such important details. Fang Yuan undoubtedly has Rank 8 battle strength. He even has the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, and we've had a relationship for some time. If we let Shui Er be married to him, we would have a marriage connection with him, he will be tied to our tribe. With this, our tribe will no longer be bullied by the Rockmen. Furthermore, having a Rank 8 to defend us will be extremely helpful for our development. Bing Yuan said. Bing Zhou thought while nodding. Indeed, Fang Yuan is a human but he has countless enemies, he has also joined Langya sect, there is no problem with his allegiance. But wait. Bing Zhou looked at Bing Yuan, we have a relationship with him. Why do I recall that we only fought him and ambushed him? Even though we made up later, we are far from having an actual relationship. Bing Yuan smiled. Bing Zhou, you were in seclusion to modify your killer move earlier, therefore you are unaware. During this period of time, Fang Yuan used all of Langya sect's strength to refine Immortal GU, he met with difficulty in the process and needed the Immortal material Snow Lotus Essence. I made the decision to sell a lot of our Snow Lotus essence to Lang Ya sect's sixth heir to help him out. So that's it, Bing Zhou realized, but he soon frowned. Since it is a transaction, we gained from it too, why did we not just gift him the Snow Lotus essence? Bing Yuan smiled bitterly. This matter had many implications, I had no choice but to do that. Firstly, I did not have a strong desire towards the marriage connection. Secondly, if we gifted it to him without cost, Fang Yuan is not a stupid person, he might not accept it. Thirdly, if everyone knows about it, the Rockman tribe would become suspicious of our intentions. Bing Zhou nodded and did not speak. He understood that rather than a relationship, they had only barely started to build one with him. It was very difficult to have a marriage connection with him. Because earlier, when Fang Yuan had the upper extreme heavenly eagle, the snowmen had expressed goodwill to Fang Yuan, but he was extremely cold to them. And right now, Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength with the upper extreme heavenly eagle as well, his status had elevated even further. If the snowmen wanted to ally with him through marriage, they were not the ones helping him, they were trying to raise their own status. The snowmen did not know that Fang Yuan had lost the upper extreme heavenly eagle. But Bing Yuan had more confidence than Bing Zhou. She said, "Don't worry, my granddaughter has incredible looks and is a GU immortal, she is the perfect person to marry. How can the Rockmen surpass us in this? We have the advantage. Even though our marriage connection ends in us relying on him, Fang Yuan can also receive our help, it is beneficial to him. Let alone anything else, we at least have Snow Lotus essence. Or rather, even if this plan fails, there are no problems, our relationship with Fang Yuan will not worsen. We can try." This, reasoning finally moved Bing Zhou. The latter nodded. "Let's try it." Inside the sovereign immortal aperture. Swoosh swoosh. The water of the river of time splashed with a grand commotion, reverberating in Fang Yuan's ears. Fang Yuan's divine sense swept around. After some observation, there were no issues, he retracted his divine sense. Using the time path methods from He Fan True Inheritance, Fang Yuan restored the rate of time in his sovereign immortal aperture back to its original speed. The rate of time in the sovereign immortal aperture was very fast, it far surpassed super-grade blessed lands. In terms of space path, there was more than 335,000 square kilometers of space in it. In terms of time path, the speed was 1 to 60 compared to the outside world. The 10 extreme physique blessed land only had about a 1 to 40 rate of time. As for high-grade blessed lands, the time was about 1 to 30, half of the sovereign immortal aperture. At the same time, the immortal aperture origin core had a deep foundation, 96 immortal essence beads were produced in the immortal aperture each year. In terms of outside time, it was 16 immortal essence beads per day. Fang Yuan was a rank 7 GU immortal now, so he obtained 16 red date immortal essence beads daily. 16 red date immortal essence beads, in terms of immortal essence stones, that was 1600 immortal essence stones. That was to say, even if Fang Yuan did nothing every day, his immortal aperture would still produce the equivalent of 1600 immortal essence stones for him daily. That was terrifying, and in fact, that was not all. When Fang Yuan's time path Dao marks increase, his immortal aperture's rate of time would accelerate. When his immortal aperture origin core's foundation becomes deeper, the number of beads of immortal essence produced would increase too. At rank 8 cultivation level, it would be even more terrifying. At the most basic level, 16 immortal essence beads per day of rank 8 white lychee immortal essence would be the equivalent of 160,000 immortal essence stones. Fang Yuan managed to earn millions of immortal essence stones from selling year GU. But when he reaches rank 8 cultivation level, he could obtain 16 million immortal essence stones worth of immortal essence beads every 100 days without doing anything. The higher the cultivation level, the deeper the growth in resources. This was not a linear growth, the increment was far greater. Of course, that was for Fang Yuan's case. The sovereign immortal aperture was a unique situation in the world. Shadow Sect spent 100,000 years to accumulate resources and used it all to refine this GU, it was understandable why this was so terrifying. Earlier, Fang Yuan was forced by heaven's will and tribulations to reduce his immortal aperture's rate of time. But now, with his surge in battle strength, Fang Yuan was confident in getting past calamities and tribulations. With the immortal killer move exposing heavenly secret created by old man Yan Shi, he could obtain the details of calamities and tribulations in advance. And together with his own development needs, he had to restore the rate of time. In fact, Fang Yuan even planned to use time path methods to further increase the speed. But I need to wait now. The time path methods in Heifan's true inheritance have a cooldown period before I can use them again to influence the tributary of the river of time. With my accelerated rate of time, the light shine fungi can reproduce rapidly now. I should place Wisdom Sword Immortal GU and Attitude GU outside the Immortal aperture. Fang Yuan calculated, at this rate, he would be able to satisfy the feeding of Attitude GU and Wisdom Sword GU. It was about time to feed them. But rank 8 Immortal GU were too hard to feed. This problem had been in Fang Yuan's mind for a long time, and as time passed, his pressure intensified. Now that he could settle this problem, Fang Yuan finally let out a sigh of relief. Chapter 1460. Million Man Soul. Heavenly Court, Soul Suppression Hall. Fairy Ziwei looked at the lump of Spectral Soul's main body in front of her as she frowned. Spectral Soul, at this point, can't you see reality? Spectral Soul did not answer, he was silent like a rock. Fairy Ziwei sneered, she activated her rank 8 Immortal GU house. Immediately, purple lightning emerged from the chains, as Spectral Soul who was restrained tightly started shaking. His memories were forcefully extracted, appearing before Fairy Ziwei as a multicolored image. It was a scene of the past. Spectral Soul had yet to become a demon venerable, he only had rank 7 GU Immortal cultivation level. Luopo Valley. Spectral Soul stumbled into Luopo Valley and fell on the ground. Goo. He opened his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood. His expression was pale as paper, the situation was terrible, he was near death. A figure descended from the sky, he landed and said, "Oh Spectral Soul, you cannot escape, today, you will die." The person had rank 8 aura, he had a cold expression, his strength was far higher than Spectral Soul. Spectral Soul barely managed to sit up as he looked at the sky. "I do not understand, this is the first time we are meeting, we have no grudges, why are you paying such a huge price to kill me?" The person called out, "Because you will create bloodshed in the world, you will massacre the people of the world and bring disaster to all." Spectral Soul sneered, "You have killed far more people than me, isn't it laughable for you to say that?" The rank 8 enemy shook his head, "It is different. You are inherently worse than me." Spectral Soul was silent for a while before saying, "Because I want to create Soul Path." The rank 8 GU Immortal had a flash of surprise in his eyes, but he recovered quickly and said solemnly, "That's right, Soul Path should not be created. In the current world, Fate Immortal GU has been damaged, if Soul Path is created, the world will change drastically, the dead will not rest in peace, ghosts will roam the world freely." Hee ha ha ha, Spectral Soul laughed. "That's wonderful, I will definitely create Soul Path. In the future, countless people will cultivate Soul Path, let's change this entire world." He laughed as he stood up, he had recovered to an extent already. "With me around, that is wishful thinking." The person sneered and charged down. Spectral Soul raised his hands and a huge formation appeared, trapping the rank 8 GU Immortal inside. But the enemy reacted rapidly, he quickly broke the GU formation. "Did you think I did not notice the hidden GU formation? I purposely came here to talk to you, because I had already unraveled this GU formation." The rank 8 GU Immortal charged towards Spectral Soul relentlessly. But Spectral Soul was extremely confident, he stood on the spot as the rank 8 GU Immortal came at him. He laughed, "You merely unraveled that GU formation at the surface level, don't you find this valley unusual?" He had just said that when the GU formation unleashed its full power, the rank 8 GU Immortal was immediately affected as his momentum came to a halt. "This is Luopo Valley," the rank 8 GU Immortal said in shock. "That's right, this secluded domain of heaven and earth is the ultimate sacred land for cultivating Soul Path. Hee, it is also your final resting place," Spectral Soul declared with the tone of a victor. "Ah," the rank 8 GU Immortal screamed, Spectral Soul's immortal formation used the power of Luopo Valley, it was akin to a rank 9 GU formation. The rank 8 GU Immortal resisted for a while, before he could not take it anymore and died. Spectral Soul looked at his feet, towards the corpse of the rank 8 GU Immortal. His hair was messy and his 7 orifices were bleeding, but he was still filled with killing intent. He sneered, "HMPH, Heavenly Court's GU Immortals, interesting. I, Spectral Soul, swear that I will create Soul Path in the future, I will let more people cultivate it. Even if I fail and die, there will be an endless number of Soul Path GU Immortal experts emerging in the future." Ha 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 ha. The image vanished. Fairy Ziwei had a dark expression. She looked at Spectral Soul's main body, which was immobilized, she left after staring at him for a short while. Even though she extracted Spectral Soul's memories, they were useless. In fact, it was as if he was replying to her earlier words. If it was the latter, it meant that spectral soul could still resist Heavenly Court's soul-searching method. Even though he could not block the power of soul suppression hall, he could selectively hand certain memories over. That way, it will be a long time before we can get any useful information from him. Fairy Ziwei sighed deeply in her mind. Langya blessed land, Luopo Valley. Fang Yuan was sitting deep in the valley. He willed and activated Luopo formation. This formation came from Spectral Soul's true inheritance. It was created by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable personally. The foundational GU worms used for it were a vast number of White Lotus Giant Silkworm GU. White Lotus Giant Silkworm GU was the food of Cleansed Soul Immortal GU. It was also created by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. After Fang Yuan obtained the GU recipe, he made Langya sect refine a huge number of White Lotus Giant Silkworm GU for him. And now, he had Cleansed Soul Immortal GU again. Not only could he feed it with sufficient White Lotus Giant Silkworm GU, he could even use them as the foundation of many Soul Path GU formations in Spectral Soul's true inheritance. Right now, Luopo formation was activated. The originally unorganized Luopo winds and bewilderment fog started to gather with the GU formation's activation. Fang Yuan's soul left his body as he endured the trial of wind and fog. Before this, he had already expended a huge amount of guts GU, his soul was quite bloated now. A moment later, Luopo formation stopped activating as Fang Yuan's soul became thinned out from the tempering. He returned to sovereign immortal body with deep fatigue. With Luopo formation, my cultivation efficiency in Luopo Valley has increased by 30%. Fang Yuan assessed. This was not the first time he was using this formation. Luopo formation was specially used to cultivate Soul Path, but he could add other GU formations in to modify it. It was a very inclusive GU formation, that was its most useful trait. For example, Qin Bai Sheng and the rest resisted the group from Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. The GU formation they used during the battle was Luopo formation. However, their Luopo formation was not for cultivation, it was for defense. According to Spectral Soul's true inheritance, when he was alive, he had killed a rank 8 GU immortal from Heavenly Court with only rank 7 cultivation level. Back then, he also used Luopo formation, but he added in many GU formations that were offensive in nature. The Luopo formation that Fang Yuan was using now focused on refining his soul. It used rank 6 immortal GU cleansed soul, and a vast number of White Lotus Giant Silkworm GU, along with many supplementary GU to assemble it. Alright, after this cultivation session, my soul has already reached million-man soul level. In Spectral Soul's true inheritance, Soul Foundation was classified into many levels. From low to high, there was single-man soul, 10-man soul, 100-man soul, million-man soul, 10 million-man soul, 100 million-man soul. 10-man soul meant that the Soul Foundation was the total of 10 grown men's souls. A normal GU master with 20 years of soul path cultivation could reach 1000-man soul if they worked hard. But using Guts GU, Fang Yuan could reach that instantly. Before this cultivation session, Fang Yuan's Soul Foundation was at 3 million-man soul. But after the tempering of Luopo wind and bewilderment fog, his Soul Foundation stabilized at million-man soul level. First using Guts GU to strengthen the soul, before cultivating in Luopo Valley to temper the soul like iron and removing impurities. Finally, he would sleep and rest the soul, getting rid of any agitation. These 3 steps repeated would raise Fang Yuan's Soul Foundation like a rocket. Only a short time had passed, but he had already reached million-man soul. The speed was too shocking. When he reaches 100 million-man soul, his soul would turn from phantom to solid. Back then in the Battle of Yitian Mountain, Spectral Soul's main body was huge and majestic. Fang Yuan was very enticed to reach such a level. With a stronger Soul Foundation, there was a greater benefit. It was the immortal killer move Ghost Official Garment. This move could conceal him from Heaven's will and other GU Immortals' deductions. The deeper his Soul Foundation, the stronger it became. At this moment, Fang Yuan could feel vividly. The Ghost Official Garment on his soul had thickened. He felt an increased sense of security. As my Soul Foundation grows, I would be able to control more year beasts. I can even control a second immemorial year beast. However, although I can invest effort into increasing my Soul Foundation, those Soul Path killer moves are not worth investing into. There was only one reason: Spectral Soul had been captured by Heavenly Court already. He would definitely get soul searched. That meant that in the future, Heavenly Court would also gain Spectral Soul's true inheritance. By then, it would be easy for them to deduce his killer moves. After this cultivation session, Fang Yuan left Luopo Valley. Danghun Mountain and Luokou Valley, these were the two sacred lands of soul cultivation, they were placed in Langya blessed land. Firstly, it was easy to use there, secondly, secluded domains of heaven and earth required a lot of heaven and earth chi. Feng Yuan's immortal aperture already had reverse flow river, the burden of adding these two was too huge. Once he left Luokou Valley, Feng Yuan saw a snowman girl. Snowman Shui greets Lord Feng Yuan.